is 7 p.m. We're at the Great Hall Sales Building. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Sure. Councilor Marsan.
Here.
Councilor Pest is absent. Councilor Santos.
Present.
Councilor Samard.
Here.
Councilor Valley.
Present.
Councilor DeZoglio.
Present.
Councilor Drew.
Here.
Councilor McLaurin.
Present.
Chair Soto.
Present. Thank you.
8 present, 1 absent.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilor Pesh has a conflicted schedule today, and she's not here this evening. May I take a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor DeZoglio, my vice chair today, by the way. Thank you. Seconded by Councilor Santos. All those in favor, any discussion? Sorry. On the agenda? No. Yes.
Due to ongoing conversations with the unions, I'm going to pull TR 2632 from the agenda.
Okay, TR 20, and that is the GIC, Mr. Mayor, or, yeah, that's what I thought. Thank you.
And I did send an email earlier today. The executive session that we had scheduled for the end of the meeting is no longer necessary because the council's already taken a vote on that issue. So that's all set as well.
All right. So there is a first, a second. Discussion is two items have been taken off the agenda. Anything else? Can I take a motion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk? Unanimous. Remove that. Yeah, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could please stand, please. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please remain standing. We do have a moment of silence this evening.
Thank you. Good evening, Council and Vice Chair. I would like to request a moment of silence for our brother who passed away last week at the City Council meeting. For the moment of silence from Methuen Fire Department Lieutenant James Jimmy Mack. Jimmy Mack lost his battle to occupational cancer on May 8th, 2026. Jimmy served 29 plus years of service to the citizens and visitors of the city of Methuen with professionalism and integrity. Please bow your heads for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there an invocation this evening, Councilor Santos?
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's begin this meeting with gratitude for the opportunity to serve our community together. May we lead with wisdom, respect, and compassion as to make decisions that affect our lives, the lives of our residents, families, seniors, and future generations. May this chamber to be guided with united over division, understanding over conflict, and solution over personal interests. Give us the strength to listen with open mind, speak with integrity, and work together to the common good of our city.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you. We have Zachary Spinder, 20. Please come up for public participation. Please, when you come up, please just state your name and address.
I'm Zachary Spindler, 26 Sugar Pine Lane. Good evening, members of the City Council and Mayor Beauregard. My name is Zachary Spindler, and I'm a student and resident tonight to speak in support of keeping the pickleball courts open. Over the past few weeks, these courts have become more than just a place to play. For many students and residents, they become a place to stay active, spend time with friends, and be part of a positive community. After school, instead of sitting inside on our phones, we're outside exercising, socializing, and doing something healthy and productive. I understand that some nearby residents have concerns about noise, and I believe those concerns deserve to be heard respectfully. But I also believe there's a major difference between addressing concerns and shutting down the courts entirely. The city has already taken steps to reduce noise by setting reasonable hours and installing sound barriers. That shows there are ways to improve the situation without removing access to something that so many people use and care about. I also think it's important to remember that Methuen is a large and growing community, and there are no other public court options available for people who want to play pickleball. Removing these courts would impact hundreds of residents, students, and families who will rely on them as an accessible recreational space in the city. To show how strong the community feels about this, the petition supporting the courts has already received over 700 signatures, and that number continues to grow. Those signatures represent students, parents, residents, and community members who want to see the courts remain open. I also want to speak from personal experience. I live near the Rod and Gun Club in Methuen and hear gunshots on a regular basis. Even though that noise is much louder than a pickleball, my neighbors and I understand that it's part of the recreational activity in the community, and we don't threaten lawsuits or demand it be shut down. We recognize that living in a community means balancing different interests and finding reasonable compromises. In the same way, I believe the answer here is balance, not elimination. The courts already operate limited daytime hours, and the city has already begun implementing sound mitigation measures. Instead of closing down the courts entirely, we should continue improving those solutions while still preserving an important community space. I also think it's important to consider the broader community. While a relatively small number of nearby residents may oppose the courts, there are hundreds of people across Methuen who actively use and support them. Public recreational spaces should serve the community as a whole, and I do not believe it would be fair to prioritize the preferences of 15 or 20 neighbors over the interests of a larger population that benefit from these courts every week. I also think it's important that we keep perspective. These courts are bringing people together. They give students and residents a place to be active, meet new people, and spend time outdoors. Where else do you see teenagers socializing with adults besides the pickleball courts? In a time where many teenagers struggle with isolation, excessive screen time, and unhealthy habits, having safe public spaces like these matter. We are not asking the City Council to ignore concerns. We are asking the city to continue working toward reasonable solutions that balance neighborhood concerns with the needs of a broader community. Please do not shut down these courts. They are helping create a stronger, healthier, and more connected Methuen. Thank you for your time.
So just with the opening of public participation, I just want to let every speaker know that are reminded to state their name and address for the record prior to speaking. Each speaker shall be allotted a maximum of 5 minutes to speak. They will receive a warning within 1 minute remains and will not be permitted to speak after the allotted time. Speakers as well as audience members are expected to conduct themselves in a respectful manner and orderly manner. Any disruption in behavior may result in immediate removal of such person to restore order and ensure the orderly conduct of the meeting. Thank you. Next person is Kevin O'Donnell.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Steve City Council. My name is Kevin O'Donnell. I'm the new local staff rep for ASME 93. And I'm just here to speak on the budget that was put out and the layoffs that are forthcoming. It seems to me a lot of mistakes have been made over the years in terms of how things were budgeted and how the money was allotted. And it just seems sad that the people who had nothing to do with any of those decisions are paying for it and losing their livelihood. And it just doesn't seem fair to these people because they had zero to do with those decisions that were made, but seems that they're being the most impacted by that. And also the manner of which it was decided of some people who would leave, some people would stay. I have reason to question going forward. And I just want people to know that these people are hardworking people. Some of them not all that highly paid. One I know is losing 12% a year for the rest of her life. The people are going to be hurting, and so on. The city services are going to dwindle based on these layoffs. And I know it's a difficult decision for all, but I just wanted to make that heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Diane Moore.
Good evening. I'm Diane Moore. I live at 58 Lowell Boulevard. If you don't know me, I am the chair of the Historic District Commission. I also sit on the Historic Commission and the Preservation Commission. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and the members of City Council and all of the Methuen citizens. On behalf of the Friends of the Edward F. Searles Estate, I would like to provide a brief update on the progress and the community engagement efforts taking place at the estate. We are very grateful to the city for allowing us for the opportunity to offer these lectures in the estate. After the past couple of weeks, we have successfully hosted 2 educational lectures at the estate with more than over 50 attendees participating. These events reflect growing community interest and appreciation for one of Methuen's most iconic historical landmarks. The lectures have featured a variety of topics, including the life and legacy of Edward F. Searles, the history and architecture of his home, the remarkable artwork housed in the estate, and the 6-point preservation and revitalization plan our group developed and presented as a road map for the estate's future. In addition, attendees were astonished by the opulence of the Marble Museum, where the lectures were held, and had the unique opportunity to experience the estate's historic organ through a special performance by volunteer organists, bringing renowned life to an important piece of the estate's history and offering visitors a meaningful connection to its past. These programs have been helped raise educational awareness, foster public interest, and strengthen community support for the importance of the future preservation efforts. For those who express concern, I would like to announce that prior to future events, attendees will be requested to sign a liability exclusion disclosure to protect the city. The Friends of the Searles Estate has had positive outreach from our community. Some of the comments that we've received through the Facebook and website are as follows. Wonderful lectures this evening. Thank you for all involved in this. I would happily be volunteering if in any capacity if possible. Such a great series. Thank you so much for all that you are doing for the Searles from Methuen. Huge thanks to all involved. This was very informative, information shared by the speakers, helpful greeters in the parking lot, and pleasant gals to check in. One was my granddaughter, in fact. All the while, pleasant live music, looking forward to the next lectures. Nice that all 50 seats were actually filled during the presentation. Thank you for your time and continued interest in preserving the history and the future of Edward F. Searles. These are just a few. The comments about the second lecture and the first were all positive. We were pleased and pleasantly surprised, actually, because we found out that the second lecture actually had a Mr. Searles in the audience. He was actually a descendant of Mr. Edward F. Searles, his brother's great-great-grandson, I believe, and his sister was there as well. He's a retired engineer, and he also offered to volunteer and help the city with restoration.
Excuse me 1 minute.
Yep, I'm all done. We would also like to extend an invite to all the members of City Council to attend one of the upcoming lectures. We would be honored to have you join us and experience firsthand the educational and cultural opportunities taking place at the estate. The next lectures are next Wednesday, the 27th, and June 3rd, also a Wednesday evening. They start at 5:30. So please, please join us. Thank you.
The next is Benedetto.
Hello, my name's Ann DiBenedetto. I was a teacher in Methuen for 35 years. I am speaking tonight on the insurance and the insurance coalition, the health insurance. I was around when the PEC was formed, so was my counterpart, Lois Jacobs. So there's a lot of history here, and we have a lot of knowledge. I want to first say thank you to the councilors and to Mr. Mayor for trying to do the collective bargaining. The collective bargaining on this is very important to preserve the rights of everyone and get the practical and sustainable agreement for not only the city, but also the employees. What happened in January as a retiree, the co-pays of the $10 plus the split went from 75-25 to 70-30, which it was a big increase for retirees. I just want to say that moving forward, Boislow has worked well with Blue Cross in getting rates and plans for the city historically that have been less money than the GIC. So I'm hoping that moving forward, that the city council or the mayor can work with the PEC in establishing a plan that's going to help everybody. I just want to say, moving forward, we know even Congress has a difficult time with insurance. Not only contingencies have to be put in place, but sometimes during the year, the drug tiers change. So you could be on let's say, a heart medication or a cholesterol drug, and you'll be paying like a $50 copay, and all of a sudden that copay will go up to $75 because the insurance companies are allowed to change the tiers in which the drugs are in mid-year. So this is contingencies that we all need to look at. Finally, I just want to say thank you to Ryan DeZoglio, Ella McLaren, and Mike Samad for publicly stating that they have the best interest of the unions, and I'm sure the rest of you do as well. Thank you.
Linda Sosi. Linda.
First of all, thank you everybody for your support for the golf tournament today. It was a great success. We had great weather, and the Caders are here tonight, and they really did a great job for all of our people who were there at the golf tournament. So thank you all for all your support. Next, I'd like to say something about the dirt bikes. I don't know what we're going to do. I have no idea, but we have to do something. It's getting more and more dangerous. I think that Ryan has put forward something about the gas stations. I don't think everybody's in favor of that. I am in favor of it. I suggested it. I just think that we have to figure out something, and it has to be an overall plan. One thing is not going to work. It's going to take a whole bunch of things put together out of our magic boxes to figure out how to take care of this issue. And whatever we can do to solve that, I've told the chief, I've told everybody, we need to do something. First of all, I'd really like to say congratulations to that young man back there for being so brave to come up here and speak at such a young age. I'm almost 70, and I still shake when I come up here, even though I do it all the time. So a round of applause for him. Great job. And then finally, I'd just like to say congratulations to the well-deserving police and fire department promotions that you have in front of you tonight. We are very fortunate here in Methuen, very, very fortunate to have the police and fire department that we have, and the guys that are here, they're remarkable. The things that they do that you don't even know half of the things that they do for the people in Methuen. So keep that in mind when you vote for these promotions tonight. Thanks a lot. Have a good night.
Next is Kristen Maxwell.
Good evening. My name is Kristen Maxwell. I live at 5 East Prospect Street. I'll be back again to speak on issues that I find important, but tonight I want to remind everyone that we're in this together, whether we like it or not. Before this week gets heavy and everyone starts coming to this podium to speak, I just want to say something that I think we all need to hear. Politics in this city have created such an ugly divide that people no longer see neighbors or community members. They see enemies. Honestly, it's sad and it's getting dangerous. As you all know, I recently resigned from my position on the school committee, yet the threats, attacks, and hateful comments continue. Somewhere along the way, we stopped talking to each other and started trying to destroy each other instead. I also want to say this loud and clear. I, just like all of you, am only responsible for my own words and actions. We cannot control what other people say and online and in conversations, and it's unfair to hold us accountable for someone else's words while refusing to hold the actual person accountable themselves. We do not have to agree on every issue. Debate is healthy. Different opinions are healthy. But cruelty, humiliation, and intimidation are not, and it has to stop. I've sat in these meetings and clapped for people that I didn't even agree with because I understand how difficult it is to sit at this podium and speak publicly. I've never booed anyone. I've never tried to publicly shame anyone because I've disagreed with them. Yet we've all seen the letters, coordinated efforts, and public attacks against us over differences in opinions, which is ironic because they put us in these seats. In a sense, it's all because of the concerns that we bring forward that aren't even our own opinions. They're always of the concerns of families and staff who trusted in me and were too afraid to speak for themselves. Every person who comes to this podium is a human being first, and we need to remember that again. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, but first I'm a person. There are real families and real children behind these conversations. You don't have to agree with me and you don't have to like me, but we should all be able to agree that this level of hate is unhealthy for our city and especially unhealthy for our children to witness. At some point, we all have to decide what matters more, winning political arguments or rebuilding a community where people can disagree while still treating each other with dignity and respect. I truly hope that we can choose each other and can move forward in making Methuen a community that we all want to be in again. Thank you for your time and good luck with the week ahead.
Eric Will.
Good evening, Mayor Beauregard, Madam Caffo, Chair Soto, City Councilors, Council Clerk, City Solicitor, and residents. My name is Eric Moreau, and I'm the president of Methuen Firefighters Local 1691. I stand before you tonight on behalf of my brothers and sisters of Methuen Firefighters Local 1691. Sorry. Screen went black, sorry. Stand before you tonight on behalf of my brothers and sisters of Methuen Firefighters Local 1691. With gratitude and sincere thanks for the support we received following the passing of our brother, Lieutenant James Jimmy Mac McLaughlin. The turnout and compassion has shown us all during his services, especially the support from the mayor, city council, city hall employees, and across all city departments were truly remarkable. Your willingness to stand with us during a time of loss meant more than we can put into words. To the residents who lined the procession route and paused while the procession drove by, thank you. Your presence reflected what we already know about Methuen, that when someone in our community is hurting, we come together steadfast, respectful, and united. Again, on behalf of the members of Methuen Fighters Local 1691, thank you for everything.
Next is Kara Black.
Good evening, Kara Blatt, co-president of the Methuen Education Association. I would like to thank the City Council for their time and for many hours over the past week talking to many members of the Public Employees Committee, which handles the city insurance, as well as Mayor Beauregard. There is a lot going on in the city with the budget crisis, and it is so important, just like our retirees have said, that everybody is accounted for and be able to afford insurance and be able to survive in these times. And I appreciate the mayor this afternoon taking the time to really say that we need to work together and that the resolution tonight is tabled because working together in collective bargaining is so important. And no matter what is decided, we have to make sure it is responsible for the city as well as to our members. And all of our unions here tonight, every union here tonight is represented, and that's because the PEC is completely together and supporting one another through this budget crisis, and we're supporting one another in making sure everybody gets the right insurance. We have disparity between lower and higher salaries, and we have to make sure that the splits, deductibles, plans, and everything else comes into one together. And everybody on this council has listened, and we appreciate it, and we look forward to getting a solution very quickly. Also, during this budget crisis, we also have learned how much, as a school, all of these other departments are so important. I don't envy anybody right now, but also please keep in mind the amount of humanity that goes into all these positions and with the anxiety and everything else. If it wasn't for the police and the fire, the safety or getting an ambulance to a school if somebody was in a crisis is key. The DPW helps make sure our playgrounds are clean, snow removal, because we can't go to school if the snow isn't plowed. All of these budget crises, it's really, can we focus on making sure what it takes to run the city and be honest with the residents and the voters of what it really takes. Relying on other funds or other things midway through the year doesn't give the accurate picture of what it costs to run the system. And we need better ways to do this so we don't come back here year after year. Thank you.
I'm sorry for this next name. I couldn't read the writing. It's 3 Vest Drive, number 9.
Good evening, Lois Jacobs, 3 Crest Drive. My handwriting was always poor, and I was a teacher. Good evening to our city councilor and mayor. My name is Lois Jacobs. I want to thank you for pulling 2632, Mayor Beauregard. We want to continue with negotiations in good faith, and now let's roll up our sleeves and find the best equitable solution between the city and the PEC. I was, Ann outed me as being an old person and was in the beginning of these PEC back maybe 200 years ago. But it does work, and we can negotiate together, come to a fair solution, and that's all I ask. Thank you. Good night.
Before we close public participation, is there anybody else that didn't sign? Please state your name and address.
Stephen Tarquinio, 64 Sycamore Road. To start, I appreciate that young man from the high school coming up here to talk. It takes a lot of courage to come up here and speak. And I just wanted to speak tonight regarding the pickleball noise issue. So I just want to clarify that the issue isn't about the sport itself, the kids, the high school. It's about the noise levels and the frequency of noise created by the paddles and the balls at such a close proximity to houses and the negative impacts it has on the quality of life to those who are paying taxes, paying their mortgages to enjoy their house, their yard, and their neighborhood. Given the recent attention by the high school petition and the social media, I just wanted to speak tonight on how we got here and make people aware that it's not just neighbors complaining to complain. So back around 2002, Methuen received $46 million of American Rescue Plan Act funding from the federal government. 1.3 million of it was budgeted for the tennis court project. In November of 2023, the Conservation Commission made us aware that they were redoing the wetlands at the high school in advance of projects that were going to be conducted at the high school to do massive renovations for the courts as well as the bus loop area. I had emailed Steve Angelo and Councilor Fatera asking about the full extent of the projects, what was planned, and raised concerns about privacy and noise given the woods that separate our yard from the high school are not very dense. No response was received from either of them. In March of 2024, because of the Conservation Commission meeting on the wetlands, is when we saw the 6 pickleball courts on the site plan and immediately contacted Steve Angelo, raising concerns and even sending him a link to recent news articles in Braintree, Mass. That were happening at that time with issues with noise. Steve Angelo replied, thanking me for my note and stating the project is in the bidding process. Bids would close in April, and they will know more about the final design once that was done. He assured me they were finding all feasible ways to ensure this would be a great addition to the neighborhood. Despite the many requests from multiple neighbors, there were no meetings conducted to go over the plans or address any concerns that the neighbors raised. The bid for the project came in at $2 million versus the $1.3 million budget, $700,000 over. So you assume the city would review the plan, versus the proposal and figure out a way to scale back the activities. It's not what we did. Instead, the city approved Resolution TR-24-40 in June of 2024 to reallocate $1 million of ARPA funds away from the new DPW building and put it towards the tennis court project. So you would assume with, $700K over budget, why would they allocate $1 million, that extra $300K? Maybe it would be to address all the noise issues that the neighbors were raising. It was not. Here's how that $300K was spent. $20,000 on trees, $53,000 for fencing, $100,000 for a shaded pavilion, $151,000 for benches. So despite multiple neighbors raising concerns about sound impacts, the city decided to spend over $300,000 in aesthetics rather than put any money towards understanding or addressing noise issues. Throughout the summer and fall of 24, I followed up with Mr. Angelo multiple times with news stories from across the country on the noise issues, asking what was being done to address the issues at the court that were going to be capping, as well as requesting we do before and after sound surveys so we could understand the true issues.
Excuse me, Steve, 1 minute.
1 minute, yep. His response was they were hoping the woods would prevent the sound and would wait and see. So after the courts opened last year, we filed a complaint about the noise because it was apparent. City went, procured $20,000 of noise mitigation panels. No sound studies, just bought the panels. Did they work? No, they did not work. So here we are 2 years later, since the original issue was voiced, 1 year since the courts opened. You've received emails, phone calls, letters, and have had personal discussions on the quality of life impact that this is having on numerous people throughout the neighborhood. Last week, all of you counselors acknowledged this, those of you who saw it there firsthand. We are not against the sport of pickleball. It should exist in Methuen for the kids to play. We just need to find the right location to avoid it having negative impacts on the citizens of this city that are not using the courts. Where they are located today is not the right location, and I wish it had been handled differently, so we would not be here today with both the players and the neighbors upset at what is happening. Thank you.
Is there anybody else? Oh.
It is so hot in here. I'm melting. My name's Heather Plunkett. I live at 115 East Street. I wanted to speak today. I had a dissertation, as you all know I love to do, but I won't because it's hot and people are waiting, and we have firefighters that need to be seen, police officers, and all the things, which are way more important than my comments, but I am up here, so I will speak. My comments are in response to Councillor Valley's request for the solicitor to clarify the liability concerns for events being held at the Searles estate. I just want to point out that all municipal buildings bear the same amount of liability concern, whether it's City Hall or any of our school buildings or the Searles estate. If you've noticed the stairs, after 100 years of people walking down them, they're not the safest stairs in the world. So I'm hoping that this wasn't put forth as a way to maybe shut down having events at the Searles estate. I think it's really important to celebrate this piece of history in our community and do all we can while we have it to enjoy it. We couldn't even go into it until recently, so I would really hope that isn't something to try and shut down events being held in that space. Also, it's really difficult to sue a municipality. You have to put it in writing, you have to have exact things, and it's capped at 100K. So it's not like some lawyer's gonna sign on and get a big old payday for that. Nobody wants to sue a city, it sucks. You're not getting anything out of that. And then waivers. I did look to see if waivers, because they said they're having people sign waivers, if they can be enforced, they can. They can be enforced as long as the language is clear and they're not doing something that would lend itself to big risk and getting hurt. So that's all I wanted to say. I just hope that this review isn't something to try to shut it down. I think it's really important it stays open. It's a big part of our history and most people really love it. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. In that case, we.
Hi, Ace Hayden. Tatum, 33 Armour Street, Methuen, Mass. I just want to piggyback on what was said by Heather and Diane. We have had great success with what we've been doing right now with the Searles, with the Friends of the Searles. It's been very, very positive on all the socials. All we get is let's not lose it, and it's all in unison. I hope you share and go on all the socials, the history, the Methuen history. We've had the Massachusetts Film Production assistant to the Massachusetts Film Commission come out with Jack, and he gave him a tour, and he loved what he saw, even like the strangest things. So like the bathtub that was in the nursing home section. So you just don't know what's going to be good for somebody. We have so much at that estate. We have 19 buildings, 20 acres, give or take, and there's so much for everybody here to make it a community event to bring money in. So please do not be short-sighted. I know you're in the midst of like budget hell right now, but just think long-term for this project, because that's where your rate of return is going to come. Your money is going to come back to this city. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? That's the case. It's all right to close public participation.
Thank you, Mr. Vice. We're closing public participation. Organizational business, there is none. I need a motion to accept the reading and acceptance of the minutes from previous meetings. I'm going to go minute by minute. So April 21st, 2026, regular meeting. I need a motion to remove from the table.
So moved.
Motion by Councilor DeZoglio, seconded by Councilor Santos. Discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Motion to approve the reading and acceptance of those minutes from previous meeting, April 21st, 2026, a regular meeting. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Motion made by Councilor DeZoglio, seconded by Councilor Santos. Any discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous. Motion carries, Madam Clerk. Motion to approve April 28, 2026, special meeting. Motion, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Councilor DeZoglio. Second. Seconded by Councilor Valley. Any discussion on those minutes? Seeing none? All those in favor?
Aye.
I abstain, Madam Clerk. I was not present for that meeting. Any opposition on that? No? Okay. So that's 7-1, correct? Motion to accept May 4, 2026 regular meeting.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Councilor DeZoglio, seconded by Councilor Santos. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, Madam Clerk. Thank you. Moving on, no proclamations and correspondence. There's none on the agenda. We're moving on to consideration of appointments. Let's see. So what we'll do is we will read each appointment and we'll vote, and then after all of the appointments, we'll take the recess for the pictures. So I always forget to make that announcement. Okay. Can I take a motion for the appointment of firefighter Jesse Qatar, Lieutenant?
So moved.
Second. Motion by Councilor Drew, seconded by Councilor Santos. Any discussion on this appointment? We have the chief at the podium.
Hi. Everyone. Evening, councilors. Mr. Mayor. It is my distinct pleasure to recommend firefighter Jesse Qatar for promotion to the rank of fire lieutenant. This is a budgeted position, filling a current vacancy, and Jesse stands well qualified for this important leadership role. He is second on the civil service promotional list. Mr. Sean Wally is first on the list. No candidates have been bypassed. Jesse has proudly served the department for the past 19 years and is a lifelong resident of Methuen. A graduate of Methuen High School and the Methuen Public School System, Jesse has dedicated both his personal and professional life serving this community with integrity, professionalism, and pride. Throughout his career, he has consistently demonstrated strong leadership, reliability, and a commitment to the safety and well-being of both the public and his fellow firefighters. He has earned the respect of his peers and his supervisors through his professionalism, positive attitude, and willingness to mentor newer members of the department. Over the past few months, he has served as acting lieutenant, performing the duties of lieutenant with confidence, sound judgment, and competence. In 2014, Jesse was recognized as Methuen Exchange Club Firefighter of the Year for actions above and beyond the call of duty, helping save the life of a choking victim during an emergency response at a local restaurant. This recognition reflects the dedication and calm professionalism he brings to the job every day. Beyond the fire service, Jesse is a devoted husband and father. He and his wife, Erin, are raising their 3 children, Jesse, Jake, and Liv, and he takes tremendous pride in balancing his commitment to family with his dedication to public service. I am fully confident that Jesse possesses the experience, leadership ability, character, and work ethic necessary to excel as a lieutenant. I strongly recommend firefighter Jesse Cater for promotion and respectfully ask for your favorable consideration.
Thank you for that, Chief. I'll take a roll call, Madam Clerk, if that's possible. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry, just wanted to mention for all of the appointments, they're budgeted in fiscal year 26 and budgeted also in the fiscal year 27 budget as well.
Thank you. Sorry.
No problem. Through you to Madam Chair to the Chief. Chief, just for clarification, this position is a position contractually required there to ensure that the safety of the men and women of your department are staffed properly, correct?
Yep, both of these positions are contractual to for staffing of the engines and the ladder with the lieutenant and 2 firefighters.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Councilor Samard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to thank both the fire chief and the police chief for adhering to civil service regulation. It means a lot to the men and women of your department who want a fair playing field and transparency, and both of you obviously promote that, and thank you for that.
Anything else? All right, if there's no further comments, we'll take a roll call, Madam Clerk. Councilor Marsan.
Yes.
Councilor Pesh is absent. Councilor Santos.
Yes.
Councilor Samard.
Yes.
Councilor Valley. Yes. Councilor DiZoglio.
Yes.
Councilor Drew.
Yes.
Councilor McLaurin.
Yes.
And Chair Soto. Yes. 8 yes, 1 absent. Unanimous. Congratulations.
Just want to say thank you very much. It's been an honor to be a firefighter in the city of Methuen. And thanks to my family here today, friends out there in the crowd. And a special thank you to my uncle, Mike Farrelly. He couldn't be here tonight, he's home resting, but he's the one who pushed me to become a fireman about 26 years ago. So thanks again, and yeah.
Second appointment for the evening, firefighter Sean, is it Wally, sorry, for lieutenant. Can I take a motion to appoint, please?
So moved.
Second. Motion by Councilor DiZoglio, seconded by Councilor Santos. Discussion.
All right. I am pleased to strongly support the promotion of firefighter Sean Wally to lieutenant. This is, again, a budgeted position filling the vacancy that was created by the promotion of a deputy chief. He was the top of the civil service promotional list, and no candidates were bypassed. Sean is a lifelong Methuen resident, an 11-year veteran of the department who has earned the respect of his peers and supervisors through professionalism, leadership, and dedication to public service. For the last 5 years, he has served at Engine 5 at the East End Station, one of the busiest stations in the city, where he has gained extensive experience handling fires and medical emergencies. Also, in recent months, he has served as acting lieutenant. Sean holds an associate's in fire protection and safety technology from Middlesex Community College and numerous professional certifications. Additional experience in building construction and as an emergency room technician at Holy Family Hospital further strengthens his ability to manage complex emergency. Above all, Sean demonstrates the integrity, work ethic, leadership, and commitment necessary to excel as a lieutenant in the Methuen Fire Department. He is dedicated to serving the community while continuing to support his mentor, fellow firefighters. Outside of his service to the community, Sean's a devoted family man who values his time with his wife, Kelly, and their two sons, Nolan and Rory, who remain the center of his life and a constant source of pride and motivation. I recommend Firefighter Sean Wally for this promotion without reservation and respectfully ask for your favorable consideration.
Any questions or comments from the body? Seeing none, I'll take a roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilor Marsan.
Yes.
Councilor Santos.
Yes.
Councilor Smart.
Yes.
Councilor Valley.
Yes.
Councilor DiZoglio.
Yes.
Councilor Drew.
Yes.
Councilor McLaurin.
Yes.
And Chair Soto.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Everybody, good evening. I want to apologize for my kids making all that noise, but I really want them to be here. I want to thank Chief Toto, the mayor, and the city council for this opportunity. I'm very excited. I'd also like to thank my family and my brothers and sisters on the department for the support, and I look forward to continuing to serve the community in this new role. So thank you very much. And lastly, I want to give a happy birthday to firefighter Stephen G. Russo.
Okay. I need a motion to appoint Acting Police Lieutenant Matthew Muscus to Permanent Police Lieutenant.
So,
Motion by Councilor Samard, seconded by Councilor Santos. Discussion. Chief.
Good evening, Madam Chairperson, members of the City Council, and Mayor Beauregard. Thank you for having us here tonight. Once again, the same story. These are budgeted positions. Both of these officers appear at number one on their respective lists. These positions were created by the recent retirement of Lieutenant James Gunter. So I'll start with the biography of Lieutenant Matt Muscus. Lieutenant Matthew Muscus has served as the Methuen Police Department, has served the Methuen Police Department with distinction since 2005. He began his career as a reserve police officer and police dispatcher before becoming a full-time patrol officer in 2012. Over the course of his career, he's held numerous critical assignments, including K-9 handler, traffic and community outreach officer, field training officer, and member of the NEMLEX Regional Response Team and the Methuen Special Operations Unit. In 2021, Lieutenant Muscus was promoted to the rank of sergeant and served as a patrol supervisor before being selected to lead the department's accreditation efforts. A true generational talent, he was the driving force behind Methuen Police Department's achieving full state accreditation for the first time just 3 years ago. For the past 5 years, he's commanded the Accreditation and Professional Standards Division and recently led the department through a highly successful re-accreditation assessment in December. He also serves as an assessor on the Massachusetts Police Accreditation Commission. In April, he was appointed as an acting lieutenant. On June 11th, next month, the mayor and I will proudly join him as the department is honored once again for this outstanding achievement as we will receive our re-accreditation award. Lieutenant Muscus is a lifelong Methuen resident and a proud graduate of Methuen Public Schools. He holds a bachelor's degree from Northeastern University and a master's degree from UMass Lowell. He's completed extensive leadership and specialized training, including the FBI Leader Trilogy, the FBI Leader Internal Affairs Program, the MPAC Accreditation Training, and numerous advanced command and internal affairs programs. His exceptional service has been recognized with the Methuen Exchange Club Police Officer of the Year Award in 2022 and the department's Life Saving Award in 2018. He currently serves as the treasurer and former secretary of the Methuen Police Superior Officers Association. Outside of work, Lieutenant Muscus and his wife Jessica, married for 18 years, are actively involved in their children's lives. They proudly support their son Jonathan at Methuen High School hockey and lacrosse games and their daughter Anaya at her softball games. Lieutenant Matthew Muscus is an outstanding leader and a rare asset to our department. His dedication, expertise, and exceptional contributions continue to elevate the Methuen Police Department and the community he serves.
Thank you, Chief. Any comments, questions? Councilor Drew.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chief, similar to the question I asked Chief Toto, these positions are in place to ensure the safety of your men and women on the force, to make sure they go home every night safe to their loved ones.
Without question, that is the case. And I also want to say that this promotion is consistent with the reorganization plan that was adopted by this very city council in 2022 that determined there should be a certain staffing level among supervisors. So this is certainly consistent with the will of the Methuen City Council.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Councilor Samard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know a lot of officers within the department, and one thing's for sure is that I'm glad that Lieutenant Muskis came back from his leave of absence, because this city is very lucky to have him. If you talk to any officer within the department, they all have the same, they say the same thing, that he's top notch and he's very squared away and he's in the right position. He deserves what he gets. So I just wanted to say that about Matt. Thank you.
Great. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, we'll take the roll.
Councilor Marsan.
Yes.
Councilor Santos.
Yes.
Councilor Samard.
Yes.
Councilor Valley.
Yes.
Councilor DiZoglio.
Yes.
Councilor Drew.
Yes.
Councilor McLaurin.
Yes.
And Chair Soto.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Unanimous.
Thank you all. Thank you, Chief McNamara. Thank you, Mayor Beauregard, and the City Councils for your support tonight. And congratulations to Sergeant St. Jean and Fire Lieutenants Wally and Cater on their well-deserved promotions. Most importantly, I want to thank my family for being by my side through everything and for joining me here tonight. I acknowledge that this promotion is not merely a new title, but a significant responsibility. The residents make a considerable investment in each one of us, and we owe them a meaningful return on that investment. I commit to you that I will continue to work hard alongside the members of our department to ensure the city continues to receive the level of service they deserve. I'm grateful for this opportunity and honored to serve on this department. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next appointment, I need a motion to appoint Acting Police Sergeant Matthew St. Jean, permanent Police Sergeant.
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Samard, seconded by Councilor Santos. Discussion.
Thank you again. Again, Sergeant St. Jean appears number 1 on the civil service list, and we only recommend in order. Sergeant Matthew St. Jean is dedicated, highly performing law enforcement leader, proud Methuen resident, devoted husband, and father of 3 children. He's here tonight with his wife, Erin, his daughter, Stella, age 13, Vivian, age 11, and his son, Alexander, age 4. Since graduating from the Northern Essex Police Academy in 2015, where he earned the top physical fitness award, Sergeant St. Jean has consistently demonstrated excellence, professionalism, and a deep commitment to service. He holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Southern New Hampshire University, a master's degree in criminal justice from American International College. These advanced credentials, paired with his relentless pursuit of professional development, reflect his drive to lead with both knowledge and skill. Throughout his career, Sergeant St. Jean has distinguished himself in numerous critical roles. He is a certified field training officer, defensive tactics instructor, taser instructor, and CPR first responder instructor. He served with the Northeastern Massachusetts Law Enforcement Council, contributing to regional operations and participating in multiple search and rescue missions for missing persons. His investigative expertise was further developed and strengthened in the department's Criminal Investigation Division, where he successfully handled complex cases, supported victims, and brought resolution to serious crimes. He is a certified sexual assault investigator and has completed hundreds of hours of advanced training in interview and interrogation, crime scene processing, crisis intervention, and search warrant preparation. Sergeant St. Jean's exceptional performance has earned him significant recognition. In 2019, he was named the Methuen Exchange Club Police Officer of the Year for his life-saving actions when he performed the Heimlich maneuver on a choking elderly man, showcasing the quick thinking, courage, and compassion that defines his service. Most recently, he completed the prestigious Supervisory Leadership Institute, Command Leadership Institute, and Executive Leadership Institute, and earned the highly coveted FBI Trilogy Award in recognition of his outstanding leadership achievement. Sergeant Matthew St. Jean has proven himself to be an exemplary officer who consistently places the safety and well-being of the Methuen residents first. His strong leadership, integrity, and dedication to the community make him highly qualified for this promotion. I respectfully recommend him to the City Council for this next step in his career. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions or comments from the body? With that being said, Madam Clerk?
Counselor Marsan.
Yes.
Counselor Santos.
Yes.
Counselor Samard.
Yes.
Counselor Valley.
Yes.
Counselor DeZoglio.
Yes.
Counselor Drew.
Yes.
Counselor McLaurin.
Yes.
And Chair Soto.
Yes.
Unanimous. Thank you. Motion passed.
Thank you. Thank you for this incredible honor. I'm truly grateful to accept this permanent appointment to Sergeant tonight. First, I want to thank my wife, Erin, for her love, support, and encouragement through every challenge and success. To my children, Stella, Vivian, and Alex, thank you for inspiring me every day and reminding me of what truly matters most. I also want to extend my sincere appreciation to our mayor, the Methuen City Council, Chief McNamara, and the rest of our department for your leadership, dedication, and commitment to serving this community. Your hard work helps make our city a safer, stronger, and a better place for everyone. Thank you again for this honor, and I look forward to continuing to serve and support the city of Methuen in every way I can. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you again to the members of the City Council and the Mayor. I know we're dealing with some really tough times. It's a difficult decision. And I really appreciate you putting the careers of these wonderful officers first, and it means a lot to me. So thank you both. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chief. I'll entertain a motion for a 10-minute recess.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Counselor DeZoglio, seconded by Counselor Samard. All those in favor?
Aye.
And none opposed. Thank you. Methuen City Council regular meeting Monday, May 18, 2026. We're coming back from a 10-minute recess. It is 8:10 p.m. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Councilor Marsan.
Here.
Councilor Santos.
Here.
Councilor Samard.
Here.
Councilor Valley.
Present.
Councilor DiZoglio.
Present.
Councilor Drew.
Here.
Councilor McLaurin.
Present.
Councilor Soto.
Present.
All present.
Thank you.
One absent.
One absent. Thanks again. Moving on to presentation projects and department updates. There are none. Then the mayor report. Mr. Mayor, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll begin my report. Even as we deal with a challenging budget season, I'll begin tonight with some positive news. We received word from S&P that they have affirmed the City of Methuen's AA bond rating with a stable outlook. This is an important indicator of the city's overall financial credibility and long-term fiscal health. A strong bond rating helps position Methuen to borrow at more favorable interest rates for major capital and infrastructure projects, which can ultimately help reduce costs for taxpayers over time. The stable outlook also reflects confidence in the city's ability to responsibly manage its finances and navigate ongoing fiscal challenges. While we still have significant work ahead of us, of course, I believe this affirmation demonstrates that the difficult conversations we're having and the steps we're taking to address long-term structural issues are being taken seriously, and that's validation not from me, not from the CAFO, but from S&P. I'm also pleased to share that out of 61 applications submitted statewide through a competitive process, the City of Methuen has secured a $1.7 million grant for critical energy efficiency upgrades at the Timothy Grammar School through the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center's Green School Works program. This funding will help modernize aging infrastructure, improve energy efficiency, reduce long-term operating costs, and create a better learning environment for our students and educators. We're going to keep aggressively pursuing outside funding opportunities whenever possible to offset costs for local taxpayers and invest in our community. Regarding the budget, I submitted my proposed fiscal year 27 budget to the council on Friday. As I noted in my transmittal letter, the budget takes a major step toward addressing Methuen's structural operating imbalance while avoiding a Proposition 2.5 override, avoiding the unsustainable use of free cash to fund recurring operating expenses, and preserving critical frontline public safety positions, including all current patrol officers and firefighters. While it's a balanced budget, I was required to make difficult decisions, which we'll be discussing in further detail during this week's budget workshops. The most politically convenient move for me would have been to do precisely nothing different. Just maintain the status quo, punt the ball, kick the can yet again, but I wasn't elected to do that, and that's not why any of us are here. Despite the tough spot we're in, along with many other municipalities across the Commonwealth, what we're dealing with is something that is not unique or novel. I'm confident that we'll be able to work together constructively this week on the budget, keep our focus on moving our city forward, and act in the best interests of Methuen's taxpayers. We have some major projects in the works, and several contracts are on the agenda tonight. First, we have a contract with Apex for engineering services related to the Milk Street traffic calming project. This has been one of our key projects as part of our state Safe Streets for All task force. As most folks know, Milk Street serves as a prominent cut-through route in our city with vehicles traveling at high speeds along what amounts to a relatively narrow residential roadway. Our goal is to explore some traffic calming measures to help reduce vehicle speeds, improve safety along the corridor, and provide upgrades to pedestrian accommodations and accessibility. We have a contract with Weston and Sampson on the agenda. We had contracted with them to conduct a feasibility study years ago. This was during the Jajuga administration, conducting a feasibility study for a new public works facility. And this new contract will allow us to work with them to expand their scope of service to include a feasibility study pertaining to new police and fire facilities, which we all know are badly needed. We also have a contract ready to facilitate the repair of the Oakland Avenue Bridge. We've received our necessary waiver from DCAM. This has been in the works for some time. The bridge has been closed, as you all know, due to a bridge deck hole and other structural issues. It's roughly a 100-year-old bridge. This will allow us to ensure the bridge's safety and reopen it as soon as possible. There's also contracts for engineering and design services to develop a comprehensive streetscape improvement plan for the Phase 1A project area of the Arlington neighborhood, the installation of the base of an outdoor fitness court at Veterans Memorial Park, paving work, and the replacement of chemical tanks at the water treatment plant. We're working on trying to fix a lot of big, long-standing issues, and I hope you'll consider supporting the initiatives on the agenda. Regarding upcoming events, a breakfast for veterans will be held tomorrow morning at the Methuen Senior Center at 10 a.m. The next meeting of our industrial zoning reform working group in partnership with the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission is taking place this Wednesday at 1 p.m. The annual Memorial Day Parade will start at the American Legion Post on Broadway at 10 a.m. on Monday, May 25th. The Methuen High School commencement ceremony is scheduled for Friday, June 5th at 6 p.m. And our first concert in the park event will be held at Riverside Park on Friday, June 12th. That does it for my mayor's report for tonight. Happy to answer questions. Otherwise, I'll address some of the requests on the other side.
Questions for the mayor on his report or any comments? Councilor Drew.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Mayor, just a clarification for me. You touched on the bond rating and how we are well bonded now. When we take loans, bonds, we have interest rates. You're saying we get favorable rates. Do we end up ever having to refinance those bonds? And I don't know. This is just for my own knowledge. I just wanted to know if anybody is listening.
So that's not something that we have done, but it is something that you can do if the market is right versus what we have. So it's something that our bond counsel looks at all the time, and it fluctuates really quickly. So if we do or can take advantage of it, then we'll move quickly to do so. We haven't been in a place where we've needed to or been able to do so that would be in our favor. But it is something that they're continuously looking at to see if it does come to that, we can do that.
Thank you. I just know with the debt servicing, I just wanted to make sure that we're at the most favorable terms as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? No? Moving on to the CAFO report.
Thank you. I did hand out a couple. That's good. I did hand out a couple of handouts just before the meeting. The first thing that I want to just fiscal year 26 CIP. I only provided a CIP for fiscal year 26 this week, and that's because we've changed the way that we are addressing the fiscal year CIP, it's 26 CIP. Instead of spending and bonding the full amount that has been authorized and approved by council, which was $12.5 million, the administration has gone through and looked at all of the open years, looked at all of the prior balances available, projects that have already started for fiscal year 26 CIP or are ready to start, and decided to go forward with an abbreviated plan for which you can see here. So on this document, you'll see the original appropriation. This is part of the bond approval that we received from council in the fall for the fiscal year 26 CIP. And next to it, you see available balance 7/125. I have added in there what we are moving forward with the bond issuance, which is currently ongoing and will happen before the end of this fiscal year. So you can see that originally we were approved at $12.5 million. We're moving forward with projects and bonding of just over $4.6 million. This is not, I want to be super clear, this is not an abandonment of any of these projects. Once the council's approved them, that approval stays out there. It's approved and unissued debt. So we are planning to move forward with those. This is considered a pause with the budget in front of us for fiscal year 27. We thought it would be more appropriate to pare down what we're looking to bond and therefore have to pay debt on it in fiscal year 27. So in doing so, we actually were able to save about 75% of what we originally had planned for fiscal year 27's debt service payments for the new bond. But again, this is just a pause. We are going to continue with these projects, just a little bit more down the road than the immediate, which we originally had planned for. The next document is the Searles Estate expense and revenue as requested. Really pretty straightforward, nothing really more to this other than additional utility costs have really been the expenses since the last update, but happy to answer any questions there. The last piece document that I provided is an update. I've been giving periodic updates over the past few months about where we stand with snow and ice. I just wanted to provide a final update, based on the heat in here, the heat outside. I think we're past the snow and ice period. So we're looking at a deficit of just under $2.5 million. So we'll be coming forward at the next council meeting with a requested solution for that deficit. But I wanted to just give you a heads up before the first time you see it is when we're asking for action. The only other thing I wanted to mention was Councilor Santos actually reached out to me directly about an update for the Oakland Ave School, so I thought it would be helpful just to provide everyone. We did receive some financial information, but we do need additional and more current information that we've requested. I know that the city solicitor is working with their legal counsel as far as getting the documentation that we need, so hopefully we'll get that in the near future and we'll be able to move forward with that. Happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions from the body for the CAFO or further discussion?
I do have one through you, Madam Chair.
Of course.
So, quick question on the other. It says police tasers and cameras expense $235,000. I remember like this was before I was on the council. It was those the body cams that? No, different cameras. Okay. Oh, do you? Yeah.
No. There's two different cameras on here. Are you talking about the tasers?
Tasers / camera and cameras.
So some of so part of those are tasers and part of them are body cams. So that's a contract that we have.
Okay, I was gonna say, I thought, and I could be wrong, back like 5 years ago when we started getting the body cams, it was like a grant or it was like a pilot program type of thing. Are we still on that where we're getting some partially paid for?
No.
Oh, no, that's all gone?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussions? Councilor Drew.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam CAFO, I think it's great, the idea. I think it's a little forward thinking about minimizing the amount of bond that we took to help minimize our debt servicing. I think that's a very good idea when it comes to this budget constraint that we're in. My other question is, and we brought it up a little bit at our finance subcommittee meeting about a week ago, for the $2.4 million that you're looking for in the ice and snow, are you going to be bringing to us prior to the ask of the free cash to supplement that the departmental shifts that need to happen to minimize the amount of free cash that we're going to allocate to this? Or is this ask going to happen prior to those departmental shifts?
So our plan would be to bring it all at once. So however we need to, we're currently discussing how we're going to bring forward action to cover that. But we would bring it all at once to say, if we need to transfer some funds in order to do that and free cash or one or the other, we'll be doing that all at the same time.
Okay, because I remember there was quite a bit of money that from other line items that needed to be dropped just to help us minimize the amount of free cash that we do move so that we don't tie it up through the remainder of the year. Mm-hmm. That was just my question. I just want to make sure that's all going to kind of happen in conjunction. I know the mayor has a comment, if Madam Chair would allow. Sorry.
Thank you. Councilor Valle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to the CAFO. Madam CAFO, I see here on the FY26 CIP, the Echo Lane sewer connection, the original appropriation was for $150,000, and the balance right now is $0. So what happened with those funds?
So the Echo Lane connection, so yes, we are not bonding for that right now as far as this bond is concerned. However, we're looking at that project as a fiscal year 27 project, which is really in about 6 weeks that we could start looking at that.
So it's going to be rollover?
So the authorization to borrow rolls over, yes. So there's no actual bonding for it yet, but we're going to be able to roll the authorization into 27 and take after that project at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Just to add to that, so trying to identify additional savings in the budget, some things that can hold until after July 1, and this was one of the projects that, it'll benefit a relatively small number of residents in the city, and granted, we would probably have to explore betterments and things like that anyway, but this is something that we would look at after July 1st, given the need to reduce the debt service line.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussions? I have a question for the CAFO. Look at that, Mr. Vice. Actually, I'm not debating. You can leave it here. The next one. So I'm looking at the insurance. So I have an ask for you. I'd like these with their totals under their category.
What are we looking at? I'm sorry.
So you have, for example, and I don't know if this is just a system we're using, but you have everything natural gas, Seals Estate, right? Eversource, and that's an account G34, but there are no totals of how much we've spent on each category.
You're looking at the Searles?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. I can do it however.
Oh, okay,
you prefer.
perfect. So I'd like, if possible, if you could provide Eversource, since its inception of this purchase, we've spent $36,000. We've spent this in, I think, insurance. I see that we have insurance in February of 2025 for $111,000. I see that's the biggest ticket item that we're paying for.
Mm-hmm.
And then we paid again in September, $107,000. And then again, just in March, $100,000.
Yep.
Right? So that means next September, we're due for another 100.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all coming out of our general fund.
That's right.
Correct, right? Okay. So if, I'm going to keep this ongoing on the agenda. If you could please provide that to the council in advance, because I had to look at it here while we were, on the floor. If you could provide it to us in advance, and that way, if there are questions, there are, but if not, it's already been reviewed, and at least with their totals.
The totals by vendor.
Correct, yeah. Or category, however you feel that should read. All right, so if there's no further conversation or questions with Madam CAFO, we will move on to the next request of counselors.
With your permission, Madam Chair, I'll dive right in.
I'm sorry?
With your permission, I'll start going through.
Yes, go ahead.
So some of these we've already addressed. I don't have an update regarding the rail trail. I don't know if the solicitor has anything to add to that at this point. Regarding I think I saw on the printed, not the printed version, I'm sorry, on the online version, there was a request for information about the paving list. I don't see it on the,
Yes, sir.
the printout.
It's number one.
Yeah, so DPW, they have a draft paving list for 2026. We're putting the finishing touches on that, and we'll post it to the website once we're finished with it. We have a contract on the agenda tonight. This is for full depth reclamation projects. We're in the process of also going out to bid soon for the milling and paving work. That will be commencing once the new fiscal year starts. So once we get that list completely finalized, we'll add that to the website. Regarding the Route 110 project, I reached out to Dan Fielding. He's our field rep for Mass DOT, asking about any updates regarding expected timetable for completion. I haven't heard back from him, but probably going to keep it on the agenda. I'll try to get hold of them this week to firm up what they're thinking, unless you have more information.
Yes, is that, through you, Madam Chair, is that a bike lane or a sidewalk? Do you know? Because in Draco and 110, it's a sidewalk.
So originally, the project is starting in Lowell, making its way through Dracut, eastbound through Methuen. And this came up a couple of years back when I was on the council. I heard this rumor that they were going to be having this bike lane on Route 110. And I reached out to Gus Bickford, who works for Mass DOT. And my question was, it's a heavy trucking route, and cars use it as a racetrack. It doesn't seem like a very safe place for a bike lane. So, in terms of what their exact plans are for that, It's completely at the state level in terms of planning and implementation. But once I hear back from Dan, I'll be sure to fill you in, Councilor.
So you don't know if it is a bike lane or a sidewalk?
That was part of the original plan.
Was the bike lane the original
Yeah,
plan?
original plan. In terms of whether they made modifications on the basis of the feedback they've received, perhaps, but I need to confirm that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Regarding, there's a request on here for information from the solicitor about holding events inside the Searles estate. I'll defer to him on that. The report for the Oakland Avenue Bridge was provided to Councilor Santos, and of course we have the contract on tonight's agenda to actually follow through with the fix and reopening it. Ditto for the feasibility study. Regarding the parks and buildings audit RFP, now that we've submitted the budget to the council, there may be some refinements that we need to make once the council makes additional tweaks to it, but that is resulting in a little bit of a clearing up of the calendar in terms of not spending 80 hours a week getting ready for budget submissions. So we're at a point where we're following up with Laurie Antonacci in the procurement office so we can get these out finally. Long overdue. My apologies, but it's been somewhat of a hectic spring. Regarding the pickleball court petition update request of Councilor McLaren, that's not something that I have really any involvement with. I don't know if the solicitor wants to share additional thoughts there. Regarding the paving of Forest Street, it is on the draft list for this year. Finally, there are areas of Forest Street on which when I drive down the road, it's almost like driving along the surface of the moon. And so we have some long overdue improvements in the works on Forest Street and other roads across the city.
Any other questions? Discussions, concerns? I had put on the agenda, Mr. Mayor, the request for the appointment that was done May 14th on the acting assessor to city assessor, or rather yet chief assessor.
Yes, Madam Chair. First of all, I would defer any legal questions to the solicitor. However, in terms of that appointment, the Board of Assessors did take it up at their last meeting, pursuant to, in our view, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 25A, relative to function of the Board of Assessors in terms of appointing staff. Now, I want to mention that there is no ambiguity in the municipal code of the city of Methuen. I believe it's within Section 3, if I'm not mistaken, of the municipal code. There is a definitive listing of department heads for each department. If you look at that list, it clearly states that, for instance, for the police department, the department head is the chief of police. For the fire department, the department head is the chief of fire. DPW director, economic and community development, director of economic and community development is the department head there. For the assessing department, it states, again, clearly that the department head is technically the chair of the Board of Assessors. And so if you look back at recent history in Methuen, I remember when I was on the council, I voted on the appointment of Michelle Mastrangelo to be the assessor. I voted on the appointment of Suzanne to be the assessor. But the issue is that although this has been something that had been going on in the city for many, many years, probably, just because it's something that the city had been doing for a long time doesn't mean that that is indeed the correct process in compliance with the municipal code and the laws of the Commonwealth. And so, given that, I think we ought to be in the business of, number one, following our municipal code, number two, adhering to state statute. And again, I'll defer to the solicitor regarding any specific questions simply because I am not an attorney. However, I will state for the record that our assessor is a competent, qualified, and he's someone who possesses the necessary credentials to serve in the role, which is exactly the type of candidate anyone, I think, with the interest in good government will want to see in a position of this importance. And so, I think that we are in compliance with our own code in compliance with state law, and I'll defer to the solicitor with any other questions.
Thank you for that, Mr. Mayor. So you're basically saying that our municipal code trumps our charter, supersedes our charter. Same section reads 3-3 on the municipal code, and then it reads 3-3, which is reference on our charter
So
for appointment.
I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that it's clear that the council does have the authority to appoint department heads.
Okay.
In fact, the council exercises that authority with its appointments of individuals to the Board of Assessors.
Okay.
The Board of Assessors, what they do is this board, actually, I believe,
I'm
Madam-
gonna pass this over to the vice today so he can control the floor.
Sure.
And so I'll let you finish, and then I'll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, as you know, the City Council appoints the members of the Board of Assessors. The Board of Assessors in the city of Methuen meets monthly. They are not full-time employees. However, that office has full-time functions. And so, in essence, my understanding is that the board delegates those day-to-day full-time responsibilities to a staff that ought to be appointed in keeping with Chapter 41, Section 25A of the Massachusetts General Laws. And so, just to reiterate, according to the code, the department head for the assessing department is the chair of the Board of Assessors, and that is in keeping with, I believe, in fact, the council's appointment of the department head, which is the members of the board itself.
Okay. If I may.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, for the evening.
Thank you.
For the moment. So I wanted to just put it on the record tonight, okay? That we advertised this position on February 5th of this year. It was posted as a job opening for a city assessor, stated department head. I actually brought with me the actual advertisement. I have it with me. And it reported to the CAFO in that advertisement. So did the job description that the administration provided. And that, of course, was subject to city council appointment, exactly like it happened in 1998 with Mr. John Cena, Sr., not the wrestler, by the way. 2000, 2005, 2019, 2020, 2021. The council exercised its charter authority when we voted 6-3 on that nominee, Mr. Mayor. That was, to my understanding, a lawful vote, and I believed it was due to the charter, right? We were acknowledging the charter when we did that. The very next day, on April 8th, you appointed the solicitor, the assessor, as a temporary under your authority, your executive authority, which I thought, what a great opportunity, because not going into detail why I personally voted no on that on that candidate. I actually called the chair of that board, and I'm not sure if this body knows, but I was an assessor in 2021, 2022, 2023. This is why I know this, okay? So, with that being said, I said, what a good opportunity for you to work with this gentleman and maybe prove us wrong. Or me, anyways. Because there were 6 no votes, and you could actually accompany that nominee when the mayor brings him back and vouch for that person on the floor for character, interaction, how they've been working in these, 6-8 weeks. Because I would assume you would have brought him before us before the 3 months. And that was a question I had with that chair. Yeah, so we agreed that would actually be a great opportunity. So that appointment happened, but you also, on that post that you made public, and I believe it was at the Eagle Tribune, you stated that you will officially be making that a permanent position, and you cited the general law back then. That was April 8th. That the job description had not been yet rewritten, and that the plan was announced. It was announced before that paperwork even came out. To me, that's premeditation of what you were already planning to do. You already knew on April 8th that that was the plan. Now, we missed that, I think, as a body. I think that we were too in the gist of all the comments on social media, and we And we did not. We see that. I had to go
Respectfully,
back
Madam
to
Chair,
actually.
I would just ask that you don't
Mr. Mayor.
insinuate motives.
Mr. Mayor,
That's not really fair.
Okay, no,
Mr.
that's
Mayor.
fair.
she has 3 minutes, and then I will let you
So
rebuttal.
on May 11th, the new job description was created. It was signed on May 12th, and it was emailed for signatures through HR. So for me, my question to this administration is people get into a room and say, how do we circumvent the sitting ducks that are there? Because that's what I think you may think we are, so that we can make this happen. Because I don't think that a municipal code can supersede our charter. It does not.
I agree. It actually does not. And as I stated earlier,
So
Madam Chair, if I may
I
briefly.
want to say that for 26 years, thank you. For 26 years, every mayor after every mayor has brought that city assessor in front of us as a department head, and that body has appointed that department head. So we're saying that those mayors were in the wrong, that they did not know what they were doing, and that law, which by the way cites that that chair would now be the department head and manages that would have managed that department, which by the way has never done that.
The process was incorrect all that time, and actually I was incorrect originally in my own submission of the appointment to the council. Simply because...
And I want to also state that the city solicitor's opinion was written at your request. The city solicitor, to the body that hires him, never told us of that request, never let us know of dialogue that I thought we should have been privy to. I am actually disappointed in that office as our employee for not including us in the conversation. And if he's conflicted because he's working directly with you, Mr. Mayor, we should be afforded the opportunity to have a legal opinion, because we wouldn't be debating this on the floor if that wasn't the case.
If that's
So my issue is, Mr. Mayor, circumventing executive orders, vetoes, putting things on the floor, forcing things down our throat, without allowing us to be the checks and balances here, and using our authority as the legislative body. And I say this respectfully.
So, Madam...
Because at the end of the day, you could have brought that gentleman back within the 3 months.
Madam
Go ahead.
Chair, I'm sorry. All right, your 10 minutes is up. So I'm going to let the mayor speak and have 10 minutes as well. And then if not, everybody else that might have a voice in this matter can go on, and I will pass the gavel back to you. And then we could go back a second round, and you can continue to talk.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, for the opportunity to respond. So right out of the gate, there has been no attempt to circumvent any rules or procedures. There has been no attempt to violate, I think, the sacred institutional notion of checks and balances, which I take very seriously. I fully agree with actually several things that Madam Chair just stated. The charter does authorize the City Council to approve mayoral appointments of department heads. That is 100% correct. It is also 100% correct that according to the municipal code, the department head for this particular department is the chair of the Board of Assessors. That is also abundantly clear in the language. It's online, available for anybody who would like to take a look at it. If you look up the City of Methuen's municipal code, you will see this. Now, in terms of trying to go around the council and I guess, shake up well-established norms, I just want to state that just because, and I referenced this previously, but I'll say it again, just because the City of Methuen did something a certain way, I don't care if it is for 5 years, 25 years, 50 years, 100 years, if the City of Methuen has done something a certain way, that does not automatically mean that that was the correct way that the City of Methuen went about doing things. And in fact, there are many examples that we can point to make that exact case. So there is no inconsistency from where I'm sitting, and I'm not a lawyer. I'll defer to legal counsel. However, there is no inconsistency with what we're talking about here, where the council does have that authority, and there's also the established department as the chair of the board. If the council wishes to obtain outside legal counsel, that's not my call to make. We have checks and balances for a reason, Madam Chair. So, with that, I am 100% convinced that we have done things in keeping with the letter of state statute, in keeping with the charter, in keeping with the code. I don't see any inconsistency whatsoever, and perhaps we may have to agree to disagree, but ultimately I would hope that we would defer to the advice of legal counsel, because the only attorney on the city council is Councilor Pesh, and I think that's important. Thank you.
So now I'm going to hand you back the gavel. For me personally, I understand state law. And the thing I think, I'm not going to speak on behalf of everybody here, but myself, the only issue I have with it was it kind of blew up online to the point where we were being criticized, some of us. And if this was already put in, and trust me, I understand Methuen does things not always consistent. But I just think for the near future, instead of putting, again, things online or putting us in a position that there is this other mechanism, just to go to this mechanism, just instead of putting us in a position where some of us that voted no feel like their votes don't matter. And I'm not saying that doesn't matter to you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just saying on behalf of me, with the thing that blew up that week, that was unneeded because you had this mechanism. So that's all I have to say. I understand what you had to do to get your job done. I'm just saying on behalf of the well, I shouldn't say behalf of the council. I'm not going to speak. But to me, it's like down the road, this could have been avoided, to my opinion.
Thank you,
Councilor
Madam.
Samard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The fact that we're talking about this at this point in our budget season is ridiculous. It seems personal, to be honest with you. Before me is a 10-page floor argument, which is public record, and it says prepared for Councilor Nelly Soto. I have a question. Who prepared this?
Myself.
Yourself, okay. So I think it's personal. You have a problem with him circumventing. Looking at this proposed FY27 budget, if you refer back to TO 26-2, which was the wage and salary classification that you put forward for our assistant clerk, okay, that failed, correct?
Yep.
Okay. On the proposed 27 budget, I noticed there's a $12,000 bump in the assistant clerk's salary. Who prepared that?
The mayor's office and myself.
Okay.
That's not correct.
Who gave it to the mayor?
The CAFO requested a budget from me, and I sent it back to the CAFO.
Correct. And did you propose a $12,000 bump in the assistant clerk?
I did not.
And who did?
And that's not on the agenda right now. Are we
It
discussing
relates
that?
to circumventing.
Wait, because, Madam, this is my first time in this position, but if that's the case, shouldn't it be going through the vice chair, speaking back and forth, so we can keep cordial?
Thank you. So we have a 10-page floor argument that we got tonight that we can't even read prior to this discussion. So we should have tabled this in the first place. We should speak about it down the road. But I feel you circumvented our vote when that classification failed. And then you add 12,000, it was cut by 2,000, so that's a $10,000 raise. That's what it looks like to me, but it seems like it's tit for tat, and it's personal, and it's got to stop. We got to move forward, and we got to just focus on what's important, Madam Clerk, Madam Chair. That's my opinion, and quite frankly, I'm getting tired of this petty BS.
The fact that I put something under request of counselors to the mayor, Councilor Samard, yes. By the way, you received a 50-page packet right at the meeting from the solicitor, and you have not had the opportunity to read that as well. That is emails back and forth from his office and myself, because since before it happened, I've been in communication. So yes, please dabble into that and then look at the research I did. But at the end of the day, if this appointment stands, we are telling any appointed board that they can basically appoint their own department head by bypassing this body. That is the message that sends, because that law cites assistant city assessor, not the assessor. And changing a job description and changing the title does not amend a municipal code and does not amend our city charter. So I don't know if you guys want to be sitting ducks, but I don't. And so what I am telling you, what this body should be looking at and discussing is passing a resolution to declare that that position should be null and void because it's contrary to our city charter, section 3-3, and we demand the administration to submit a proper nominee to this council. That's what I feel should happen. Now, this is me speaking because I feel that, yes, we were circumvented as the body. Yes, that is accurate. And this is not the first time it's happened on this floor. It's happened previously, okay? And then I also want to say the budget is around the corner. And if that doesn't happen, this body can exercise its duty there. That's all I'm going to say. But at this point, Councilor Simard, for you to sit there and say that this is personal and about the mayor and about this and that, no. If you want to be a sitting duck, you may be a sitting duck. But when I see that process and procedure is not being followed here on this body or in this building, I will speak up about it. And I'm sorry if that bothers anybody here. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
If I may briefly respond. I didn't write the state statute. I didn't write the charter. I didn't write the municipal code. As a mayor, I have to operate within those frameworks, but I didn't create them. Ultimately, it is the legislative branch of government that has the ability, technically, to change the rules if you don't like them. I can't do that. I can only operate within them, as they exist. And so, I think that there's an effort to try to portray me as shady, trying to portray me perhaps as underhanded, trying to make a mockery of checks and balances. However, I strongly dispute any such insinuations. Thank you.
I'll take it back. Councilor Marsan.
Thank you. So, Mr. Mayor, you know how I feel. I went to the meeting. I'm not going to put on there. I did that in a meeting that wasn't on TV. I didn't do it to grandstand. I made my point there. We just need to fix it. That's all. If that's what this body chooses to do, is to fix how we appoint that person, then we just need to fix that, I believe. And that's our prerogative. I made all my points at that meeting. You thought it was personal. It's not. I think it goes against our charter. That's how I feel.
100%.
And I know that the solicitor does it. I made my point, and I'll stick to that. But we just have to legislatively fix the problem if we think it's a problem. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments or discussion? Mr. Solicitor.
So I will say I understand why everyone feels the way that they do. And I was asked by the mayor to look at this issue after the last vote. In my opinion, it doesn't violate the charter, and I agree that there's a disconnect between the municipal code and the charter. And as the mayor said, this is not unusual as we go through. This is why we have the Charter Commission going through, getting ready to send you, an updated charter version. Perfect place to make those changes if you want to make those changes. Right now, there's no question that the municipal code in section 3.3 designates the board chair as the department head. Councilor, the chair points out that maybe in years past that hasn't been how it's actually been operating, that the person in the position was not a member of the board that was running the department. I can't speak to that. I wasn't here, but there's definitely been a disconnect as to how that works. In many cities and towns around the Commonwealth, the 3-member board of assessors is 2 part-time members and a full-time member, and the full-time member who is designated as the chair of the Board of Assessors is the full-time person that works for the town. And in fact, in the memo that I sent you, and you can read all those things, and I'm happy to discuss it with everybody, in years past, that job description for Suzanne Doherty, for the other person who was in the role before her, said that they were a member of the board. But they were never a member of the board, which means they weren't the department head according to the ordinance, and they weren't the assistant department head. If that's true, they didn't have to come before this body. So the disconnect happened somewhere in the past where a mayor or town manager, it may have even happened before the city transition, somebody decided they were going to split these duties, and we had this 3-member board and then separate employees that were appointed in a different way. The bottom line is, you as a body with the mayor can fix it. You can change the ordinance. You can change the charter. You can file a reorganization plan if you don't like the way that it works. Unfortunately, you have to work together to make that happen. And I suggest you do that. I can only call it the way I see it. And I was asked by the mayor, and I just want to address the chair's comments. I work for the entire city, all city officials
For the
in the city.
institution, correct.
And so when Councilor Santos asked me a question or asked me for a memo, Councilor Santos gets a confidential memo. And if it's some issue of general concern, I would ask Councilor Santos, would you like me to share this memo with the rest of the council? And she either says yes or no. If she says no, then I'm not going to share her memo because I have a duty to her and answer her question. Same with you, Madam Chair. Same with the mayor. The mayor and I discussed this. I left it to the mayor to share that memo or not share it. Up to him to do so. I did have discussions briefly, obviously, with you, Madam Chair, and with Mr. Marston, but not to the level of that memo, clearly. But I just want to make it clear, like, I'm not sharing your confidences or your confidence, and I take great pains to separate that when I can.
In that conversation, you also stated, Mr. Solicitor, that regardless of what the mayor decided to do, that person would still have to come in front of us for appointment. And today you're saying that's not accurate.
No, I think
that was those were
that was
your
the
words.
temporary appointment, and the temporary appointment is temporary for 90 days and has to be reappointed, but it's a limited appointment. At the end of that appointment, it would be done.
I'm sorry. I just feel like we're just going back and forth. And can we just, again, if you have comments, let's go through the proper procedure of through me at the time of going back and forth. Because going back and forth over this matter is just, it just seems like we're fighting. So, I'm sorry. I just feel like we're just not going anywhere.
Councilor Santos.
Madam Chair, to the mayor, I just feel that this is not personal. We just need to focus on solutions. It's a matter that it was not right properly. I read the charter, and I even have samples of how previous assessors has been appointed in the past. I have, like, for the last 20 years I printed out, so I did my homework on it. And this is not focusing about, there's no personal attack. There's nothing in that matter. We just need to focus on what is the problem and let's get the solution. Because at the end of the day, we need to focus on what is the best for our city, and that's what we're here for. That's what we got elected for, to work together as a team and to make sure that our city moves forward. So this is not personal at all. I don't feel it's personal from Sharon or anyone else that has speaking about this matter. It's just, let's focus on the solution. Thank you.
Councilor McLaren.
To be frank with you all, I think everybody's made their opinion very clear. There's a lot of grandstanding going on, and I think that our constituents are sick of it. Honestly, I can see both sides. I know where I stand. I know now where pretty much everyone who sits here stands. If someone wants to change it, it's very clear. The mayor has made it very clear what the law says. The solicitor has made it very clear what the law says. And if you don't like it, you have the power to put forth a resolution to change it. So do that. But I think we're wasting our constituents' time sitting here talking about something when we all know where we stand and the steps that we are allowed to take to change it if we don't like it. So let's do that instead of sitting here and bickering and grandstanding. Please, thank you.
We're going to move on, but I also want to address that if you need to share your opinions, don't feel that you're grandstanding. Please share your genuine opinions on this floor. That is what you've been elected to do. I'm moving on to public service. Grants, there's none. Licenses, there are none. And contracts. I'm coming on to my first contract. C2687, Apex Companies, LLC. 18 Commerce Way, Suite 2000, Woburn, Massachusetts, 01801, engineering services for Milk Street traffic calming project through the Methuen Department of Public Works, $48,600. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Samard, seconded by Councilor Santos. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, Madam Clerk. C2688, Weston and Sampson, CMR Inc., 55 Walkers Brook Drive, Suite 100, Reading, Mass. 01867. Engineering services for expanded feasibility studies of public works, police and fire facilities, $75,750.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Councilor Santos,
Second.
seconded by Councilor Drew. Discussion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is to the mayor. This is in regard to Councilor Santos's question about the possibly spot for the next public safety building.
So this has been something that has been ongoing for some time. The issue has been that the current scope of the contract with Weston and Sampson pertains only to a new DPW facility. This certainly maintains that aspect of the conversation here. However, it simply is an expansion of scope to include looking out for locations for police, fire. There's a whole host of possible options that they'll be taking a look at, but nevertheless, this represents a tangible next step forward so that we can actually proceed with the investments we need to make.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Councilor Santos.
I have a question about the feasibility test that was done for DPW. Here is listed that the feasibility test that is planning to be done is going to be done in the DPW, Police Department, and Fire Department. It was my understanding that it was already, the DPW feasibility test, feasibility study was already paid for. So I would like to know if this is going to be a new one starting from the ground, or we going to start from the one that we already have in place, which I already have requested several times to get a copy of the feasibility test that was done previously, and it was never provided to me.
Thank you, Councilor. So I was on copy on the email when that was provided, and I'll forward it to you again from the DPW folks. But what this is simply an expansion of scope. So we already have this existing agreement in place with Weston and Sampson relative to DPW. They had done some initial work, I believe, during the Jujuga administration. And now what this does is, rather than starting from scratch with a completely new vendor who is yet to work with the city, we're simply taking that existing agreement, expanding it, and now it's going to take into consideration police and fire as well.
So this is going to be start all over again. So the one that it was already done.
No, so they had already done a report initially on prospective DPW sites. This is simply an expansion and continuation, effectively, of their existing work. Nothing would be started from scratch. In fact, it would simply be an expanded look at all options, but now taking into consideration police and fire as well as DPW.
So it will be a continue of the work that it was already done.
That's correct, Councilor.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Not seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, Madam Clerk. C-2689, NEL Corporation. 3 Ajusian Way, Building B, P.O. Box 929 in Middleton, Mass. 01949. DCAM waiver number 5291 for the emergency repair to the Oakland Ave Bridge through the Department of Public Works for $57,503.34. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Marsan, seconded by Counselor Valley. Discussion. Counselor Santos.
Madam Chair, to the mayor. Do we have a time frame of when it's going to start and when it's going to be done? Because this bridge has been closed already for months. And I have a lot of constituents calling me, asking me about it. So I want to have an answer for the next time someone's calling me.
So thank you for the question, Counselor. This is something that we've been going back and forth with the state about. We needed to receive, it's called a DCAM waiver, so that we could go ahead with simply obtaining 3 quotes. We received that. We've identified the funding source through the CIP. And at this point, once the council approves the contract, this is the last step, bureaucratically needed before work can commence. So once hopefully we have a favorable vote on the contract, we'll be able to proceed with the work and get it done as soon as possible. It has been a while. I'm sensitive to that. And, in terms of the longer term picture, this is on the state's list for total replacement. However, as with anything, there's no guarantee about when the state is going to be able to have the capacity and the financial resources to be able to actually conduct that work. So we're here now with the closed bridge. We need to get it open. It needs to be safe, and so this work will allow us to do that at this point now in the process expeditiously.
So you just said that we are getting the resources from the state?
So we're in the process of getting some assistance from the delegation. However, we have the funds available now, and we need to get moving on the project rather than waiting on additional funding from the state. Once it does arrive, then we'll be able to have that taken in. But nevertheless, we need to simply get the project done.
Because I wanted some clarification on where the funds were coming, because I read that it was budgeted.
So we are able to absorb the cost of the contract using financial resources that we have now.
I think the CAFO wants to make a correction.
I just want to make note of 2 things. One is that it is being funded by the capital improvement plan. We have funds in 25 CIP to cover the project, but also the contract stipulates the final completion date is by the end of June. So it says that right in the language of the contract.
Thank you.
So not a correction, Madam Chair, but nevertheless added color for that statement. So of course, that's the anticipated date. However, again, with any projects like this, I would rather underpromise and overdeliver. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, Madam Clerk. C-2690, Woodron and Curran, 138 River Road, Suite 212, Andover, Mass. 01810. Engineering services for Phase 1A of the Arlington Neighborhood Streetscape Improvement, Department of Public Works, $235,500. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Drew, seconded by Counselor Santos. Counselor DeZoglio.
Through you, Madam Chair, to the mayor. So I see that there will be sidewalk improvements in the Arlington neighborhood. The question I have is, are they going to be cement or hot top?
I know this is an issue of deep concern to you, Counselor. Perhaps I can invite Director Bauer to provide a little more detail regarding the actual materials. I know this is a serious concern.
Yeah. Thanks. So the cost to do completely concrete sidewalks would be exorbitant, so we have to go with the asphalt. We will, depending on what we get for prices, we'll have concrete at the intersections, so the handicap ramps will be concrete, which is typically something we do. Prefer to go concrete largely. We do salt heavily, particularly in that neighborhood, and you could lose an entire brand new sidewalk in one winter by placing salt on it. So really the decision to go with bituminous concrete with asphalt is based on finances.
I can see the disappointed look on your face, Councilor.
To you, Madam Chair.
Of course.
To me, I understand that, but there's other cities that I know that have cement sidewalks. They plow and they salt, and it seems like it doesn't take that much. And I'm not saying I'm not a professional at how salt hits cement, but again, my residents, constituents will say it looks cheap. And when you have the ramp, the handicap, and then the hot top, you could look at Merrimack Street, and they did that, I think, in the last couple of years, and it's already breaking apart.
So it's very easy for us to just add concrete sidewalks as a bid alternate. So the contractor will bid on asphalt sidewalks and we'll get a number, and then we'll ask for concrete sidewalks, we'll get a number, and we can make up our minds then.
Okay.
Yeah. So this, what you're voting on right now is the design work. So, and to take it through permitting. So we will, through bidding. So I will instruct the consultant, if this passes tonight, to add a bid alternate for concrete sidewalks. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, Madam Clerk. C-2691, Hilltown Demolition LLC, 80 Middle Road, Clarksburg, 02147, installation of cement concrete slab at Veterans Memorial Park for the base of an outdoor fitness court through the DPW Recreation Department for $34,900. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Drew, seconded by Councilor Valley. Discussion. Councilor DeZoglio.
I just want to say, after living here for 27 years, I think this is the best thing that can be brought to our city. So I want to say thank you, because growing up on the East End and the veterans having that broken skate park rink for God knows how long, the fact that we're doing something over there now and bringing in a fitness court and all this other stuff, that's going to be great for the city of Methuen. So I just want to say thank you for everybody.
Councilor Marsan.
Thank you. So we don't have a map of where it's going, but I did speak to the rec director. Hopefully we can move it enough, the pad, because it's not that huge in relation to the size of the the hockey rink that was there. So in case we need to incorporate something else in the area. So we don't have a map of it, but not that we have to have that typically, but I'm sure it exists. Hopefully we can move it and keep it to one side. So if we want to add something, I know this has been in the works for a long time. All the equipment's been bought already, so we've just been waiting on the pad. So that's what we're voting on tonight. Thank you.
Any further comments? Councilor Drew.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to allude to Councilor Marzan, I did go out to Veterans Park with Steve, and we did look at that. And he is pushing it as far up, as we can forward, to leave that other section that will allow another pad of some other point. You know, there's talk of a skate park or maybe some other type of recreational activity needing to go there. So he is very well aware of it, and that's his plan.
Any more comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. C-26-92, EJ Paving Company, Inc., 101 Lindenberg Avenue in Methuen, Mass., 01844, Super Paved Surface, Course 9.5, Super Paved BSC, Course 19, HMA for patching, Hot Mix asphalt berm type A hot mix asphalt curb funded through the Chapter 90 for the city's paving season FY 2026 through the Methuen DPW for $1,197,448. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Drew, seconded by Counselor Valley. Discussion.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Director Bauer or Deputy Felix, please.
Good evening.
How many miles of roadway this funding is expected to cover?
So for this contract, this is for the full depth reclamation. So what you have right now is just the paving of it. There are some other contracts that are not in front of you, is because we're still waiting for the signatures from the contractor. But the other contracts are for the reclamation itself, and there's another contract for the frames and covers. So this will be around 3.5 miles of roadway, but this is for 4 inches. So you have 2.5 inches for the base, and then another 1.5 inches for the top course. And then there's a little bit of fluff within the quantities. We have another contract that is not in front of you, which is the milling of certain locations throughout the city where we have main breaks, water main breaks, where we have is patched right now. But what we want to do is curb to curb restoration. So hopefully by next month we have the contract in front of you for the milling. We'll mill those particular locations. And then we have EJ paving. If it's approved, they'll be placing 1.5 inches where it was milled.
And do you have the list of roads for this one?
For the
1.1?
Yeah, if you don't have it, then I could provide it. I have the list for the full depth. Yes.
I appreciate that. I have one more question for you. I understand that the DPW went out to bid for reclamation work, and I don't see that contract in front of this body tonight. What happened with that?
So for that one, the contractors, we're just waiting for their signatures.
Okay.
So once they're signed, and then it will go around, and then it will be in front of you for the reclamation. Okay. So the reason why we went out to bid this way is because full depth reclamation is super expensive. So if we put everything together, then what the contractors tend to do is that they have subcontractors, so they will put another 10% on top of it, because they're managing the project. So what we do is we separate certain tasks. We have to manage it, but it will save the city a lot of money.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Counselor Drew.
just one more question. This is just roads, right? There's no sidewalks?
This is this is roads and curb. So there's particular locations where the curbing may not be the best. So it'll be a great opportunity to also to replace the asphalt curbing at particular streets.
Perfect, thank you.
Councilor Marsan.
One more, Felix. So the patching
I'm eager to go back.
The patching portion is after you put the curbs in, like sidewalks and stuff, to certain areas where you have to patch where you're not doing full reclamation?
Yeah, so there's locations with the water main breaks, it's just patch. So we just wanted it to be a smooth transition between, we don't want the patch to be there anymore. So we're gonna have the trim milling there with the lowest bidder go and mill, and then EJ paving once it's milled, once the structures are adjusted, they will come in and pave. And there's some other things we could do too. There are some also locations throughout the city where we have a street that is decent, but there's some spots that it's just very bumpy. So those are some other areas too where we could have the contractor mill and then EJ paving pave afterwards.
Thank you. Any other questions? None. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, Madam Clerk. C-2693, DCAM waiver number 5289, granted on 5/6/2026 for the emergency purchase and replacement of bulk chemical tanks 7, as well as the pipes, valves, fittings, and transfer pumps in between the bulk tanks and date tanks at the water treatment plant, a division of the DPW, $897,677. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Drew, seconded by Counselor Santos. Discussion. Counselor DiZoglio.
It seems like since I've been in office, there's been just repairs after repairs for the water treatment plant. Is there any grant funding that we've been asking the state or earmarks or any of that sort to help us instead of pulling money out of the general fund? Because it seems like this is a lot of work that has probably been put off for so long.
There is a significant amount of deferred maintenance that we're obviously in the process of trying to catch up on. This is not coming out of the operating budget, just so you know, it is coming out of the CIP. But nevertheless, I think this is certainly something that perhaps at a future time, we're talking with Representative Trahan and others about possible funding opportunities from other aspects of the government. We could certainly explore that. At this point, my focus in any conversations with Congresswoman Trahan, Senator Warren, Senator Markey, et cetera, has been on trying to get funding from the feds for the additional phases of the Arlington Neighborhood Project. That's really been the focus, given the fact that there are so many infrastructure needs in that neighborhood that we need to get after once phase 1, which is funded through ARPA, is complete. So that's really been the major focus in terms of federal help. However, this is something that we could certainly keep in the mix in those conversations. There's a lot of work to be done down there.
Any other questions? Counselor Drew.
Thank you. Just less of a question, more of a point. My professional experience, these types of valves and these systems constantly being utilized as much as they are, constantly seeing turnover and fixing needed. So I believe this is a pretty fair contract from what I typically see in my day-to-day.
Counselor Marsan.
So we all know the plant is old, it's falling apart, we haven't done the maintenance to it, the concrete's wearing out. It's just, everything is due at once, it's just falling apart, and we need to keep it going every day. It's our water supply, so we have no choice, and we have to do this, but it's just old. So until we make a huge capital improvement to fix we're fixing gates, we're fixing many, many things along the way here, because we have to, just to keep it going, so.
I couldn't agree more. I want to use this as an opportunity to share a preview of something that we're going to have to look at addressing, and that is the issue of water and sewer rates. We have a habit in the city of Methuen, and I'm sharing this because it's in the same context, I think, of addressing various needs relative to the water and sewer system in our city. So we have a bad habit in Methuen of going an extended period of time without making any adjustments to those rates. And so as costs increase and the bills pile up and the capital needs pile up and all these different things that need investment continue to accumulate, the issue is that unless we make more frequent adjustments to those rates, we're simply not going to be able to keep up with ensuring that we're providing our residents with the safest possible infrastructure when it comes to water. And so that's something that we are going to be bringing before the council in the coming weeks, especially as we are dealing with revenue for the budget. It's something that we just must keep up with, or else we're at risk of falling behind in an area where we don't want to fall behind, can't afford to. Thank you.
Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Other officers and committee reports. Councilor DiZoglio, I think you have.
Thank you. Last week, Public Safety met. We had some good news regarding the rail trail. Pat Bauer and myself and Madam Chair Soto went on with Conservation, and they approved the clearing of the bird sanctuary behind the Public Safety building. I'm just trying to get together with Pat. I know he's been dealing with a lot of crazy for the last couple of weeks. So I will follow up with him. So that will be great access for people to go down there to that part of the bird sanctuary. Also, the most important thing is Chief McNamara will now have access to the rail trail from the police department. So, which is a big boost instead of going up and around the two access points that they have. Now they could get like the golf carts, four-wheelers to actually go onto the rail trail from the side, especially with all these possible crimes that could be taking place down there, or these dirt bikes that use that as an access point. They could go and cut them off through the bird sanctuary now. Hopefully, I've also asked for volunteers. Volunteers are more than happy to go down there as well. Chief McNamara, myself, I don't want to speak on behalf of him, but he said he's willing to go down there with me to start cutting up stuff and hopefully get that cleared out for everybody to start using. Another thing we went over is Madam Chair Soto has a utility with the companies that are coming in, tearing up our roads. We're hoping to get that done. Councilor Valley, you had something as well? No? Oh, it was Councilor Soto that had another policy that she's working on that with Chief McNamara regarding handicap parking in the city. So we're hopefully going to bring that to the table soon. And just, I've also got in contact with Salem, Mass. Electric guy that did all the lantern lighting down there. So he's happy to work with us. He gave me a contact with their contact to bring lantern lighting down to the rail trail as well. And I heard they did an estimate with National Grid in lighting. I just haven't had to talk with Pat yet. Hopefully we can have everything to the city council soon. I know budgets are tight, but maybe we could look for grants for next year as well. And that's all I have for public safety.
You forgot something.
I did? What? Sorry.
The ordinance for the dirt bikes, did you mention?
Oh, and then, yes, well, yes. And also we discussed about the dirt bikes with Chief McNamara regarding gas stations, which we'll be talking soon about. That's all for public safety.
Thank you. Any other committee reports? Seeing none, we'll move on. Unfinished business. Resolutions. TR 25-75. A resolution approving the request of JR Builders, Inc. for the city to approve the layout of Cooper Lane for the purposes of accepting Cooper Lane as a public way. This is sponsored by JR Builders, Inc., owner and developer, and the request of Councilor Marsan. I need a motion to remove from the table.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Drew, seconded by Councilor DeZoglio. All those in favor?
Do you have a discussion?
We're removing from the table.
Oh, yes, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry, madam.
No worries. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. On the main motion, TR 2575, motion to accept.
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Santos, seconded by Councilor DeZoglio. Discussion. Councilor Marsan.
So I put this on here. I'm hoping to get Cooper Lane approved. It's in our district. It seems like we've been in front of us. They've been in front of us 5 or 6 times, and I know there's a process we're using now. I just don't want the builder to walk away because his bond gets so little, and then we have another unaccepted way in our city. Not that he's threatening that. I'm not saying that. I don't know him. I don't know him that well. I just want to get it done. I've had correspondence and spoken with the people there that live on Cooper. They have an HOA that takes care of some of the land that's there. So they just want to get their road approved. I know there's costs that go along with it, but I'd like to just see us get it approved, and then the Community Development Board will finish working out with the bond issues that they have. Thank you.
Mr. Solicitor.
So I just have an update, and I would defer to Conservation and to the DPW, but I don't believe this is ready for acceptance yet. There is a swale that goes through people's backyards that has not been appropriately maintained. And we have worked with the developer and the homeowners association to ask them to make sure that that is cleared, cleaned out, and that that is taken care of before we accept the road. We generally don't accept a road that isn't in tip-top condition, because as soon as we accept it, we're going to have to maintain those things. That was supposed to be scheduled to be done. I don't know if it's been done or not, but the conservation agent was following up with both the developer and the homeowners association. There was some confusion as to who was responsible for that, because there's been, I guess, some disputes between the two of them. And then there's also an issue of the current bond. So when the project was originally approved, he was granted relief in the form of only being required to put a sidewalk on one side of the road, which is pretty standard. But when you do that, you're required to make a concomitant donation to the sidewalk fund to fund a city sidewalk in another place. And so he has not done that yet. There is an amount that's being requested. I think it's just the bond amount, but planning and conservation and DPW are following that. I will just tell you that it has nothing to do with him, and Councilor Marston and I have discussed this. As we go forward, I think we'll want to revisit what we're asking people to do, because the amount of money is so low you can't really build much of a sidewalk at all with it. But that has not been made yet either, so I would want you to see both of those things completed before you accept the road, but certainly at your discretion.
Any other questions or comments? Councilor Samard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know JR Builders is a very reputable developer, and I'm sure they'll be in compliance with these issues, but I'd be a no at this point unless we table it and then get an opinion from our solicitor down the road and conservation to make sure these things are fixed, so there's no cost to the city incurred once we approve it. So, thank you.
Is that a motion, Councilor?
If someone wants to make the motion.
Second.
Motion by
I'll make
Councilor.
the motion.
Motion by Councilor Samar to table, seconded by Councilor Valley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries. So we got one no. Yeah, let's do a roll call, just for the. And just for a point of information, through asking the solicitor, if this doesn't pass, can't come back in front of this body for a year, unless we add lipstick to it, we change some words.
Yes.
Okay.
Or you suspend the rules, which you can do.
Correct. So, is that we're on the motion to table? Yeah.
Councilor Marsan.
No.
Councilor Santos.
No.
Councilor Samard.
Yes.
Councilor Valley.
Yes.
Councilor DiZoglio.
Yes.
Councilor Drew.
Yes.
Councilor McLaurin.
Yes.
And Chair Soto.
Yes.
So that's 2 no, 1 absent, 6 yes.
Resolution has been tabled. Moving on, TR 2632. A resolution accepting
That was
section.
removed.
I'm sorry?
Excuse me, point of information.
Yes.
It was removed.
Sorry, thank you for that reminder. TR 2649, a resolution authorizing the City of Methuen to participate in the Massachusetts Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy Program, PACE, Massachusetts, requested by the mayor and Director Wilson. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Drew, seconded by Councilor DiZoglio. Discussion. Seeing none, or is there some? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Ordinances. TO 26-11, an ordinance requiring pest control for demolition, site clearing, and commercial waste activities, sponsored by Councilor Ryan DeZoglio. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Councilor Santos, seconded by Councilor DeZoglio. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
TO 26, let's see them. So TO 2613, there were some updates to that. I'm going to leave it on the table. I'm going to remove it from the agenda. Bring that back in June. New business, resolution TR 26-50, a resolution requesting a home rule petition regarding the reinstatement of positions in a departmental unit according to seniority in the city of Methuen, sponsored by myself, Councilor DeZoglio, Councilor Valley, Mayor, well, the mayor has to be removed. Motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Valley, seconded by Councilor Santos. Discussion. I'll have the chief come up to the podium.
Good evening again, councilors.
Yeah.
You may recall we brought this home rule petition up a few. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah.
We brought this home rule petition up 4 years ago, and it made its way to the state senate and kind of died on the vine. We brought it up again 2 years ago. Representative Hamilton was juggling 3 or 4 of our requested home rule petitions. I think he got three of them across the finish line, and this one died on the vine again. So we're back a third time trying to get this accomplished. So this would address a catastrophic type of situation where, God forbid, we had to demote superior officers. And if we had to demote superior officers, I think what you'll find civil service rules as being counterintuitive in that, strangely, if you have to do demotions, they're done by time on the job, not time and rank. So you might have a situation, for example, where, let me use an example of you just promoted a lieutenant tonight, right? I could have a lieutenant who's in that role for 10 years and a lieutenant who was just promoted tonight. And tomorrow, if we were doing demotions, you would think, of course, that the junior lieutenant would be demoted, but that's not how civil service works. Civil service accomplishes that by going by time on the job, not time and rank. So if the lieutenant who was promoted tonight had more time on the job overall than the lieutenant with 10 years in rank, the demotions would be done in that way. And reinstatements are done in the same manner. So by way of this home rule petition, you're saying that we want to protect senior officers by time and rank, not by time on the job. There's been a number of cities and towns that have done this in the past several years. Ideally, you do it when times are really good, so it's not all that controversial. I do know that the Superiors Union is here, and they're prepared to answer any questions that you have. They're in favor of this proposal as well. They think that the obvious right thing to do is protect their senior officers over the junior officers in each rank. I want to say it looks like, thanks to Mayor Beauregard and all of his efforts, we're obviously going through a very, very tough time with respect to this budget, and emotions are running high, and I'm guilty of that more than anyone in terms of how I've had to deal with this the last few weeks. But I want to thank more Mayor Beauregard because through monumental effort, we've kind of shifted around the deck chairs, and I think we're at a place where that's not going to be necessary this year. I pray that it's not. I know that we still have to navigate the next couple nights, but I'm hopeful that we won't have to address this year in terms of how to handle demotions and reinstatements by way of civil service law. But it's still something that structurally we should fix now so that, God forbid, if we ever get to this situation, we at least do it the right way.
Okay. Any questions, concerns, or comments from anyone? Does this require an EPA?
I would love for it to have an EPA, and frankly, it would only require one if the council is contemplating cutting something that the mayor has proposed, because the mayor's proposed budget does not call for any demotions. So, if that's a consideration, I would beg you to put forth an EPA.
Okay. All right. So if there are no questions or comments, I'm going to take a roll call on this, Madam Chair, please. And if someone wants to make a motion for an EPA, please do so after your vote. No. I would ask the solicitor.
Sorry, what? No, you can't.
Okay, we can't do that. It's not on the agenda. Counselor Drew.
Point of clarification, Madam Chair. Does this need 6 yes votes because it's a change to the charter? Or is this just a simple majority?
Just a standard approval, but has to be signed by the mayor for it to go anywhere.
Thank you.
Will the mayor be signing this? Will you be signing this? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we're good? Roll call.
Passage of TR 26-51. Council Marsan.
2650 we're doing, right?
50, correct.
I'm sorry about that. 2650.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilor Patrick's absent. Councilor Santos.
Yes.
Councilor Smart.
Yes.
Councilor Valley.
Yes.
Councilor DeZoglio.
Yes.
Councilor Drew.
Yes.
Councilor McLaurin.
Yes.
And Chair Soto.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you very much. everyone.
Congratulations. Okay. Moving on. TR 2651, a resolution authorizing acceptance of $15,200 fiscal year 2026 Massachusetts Department of Fire Services Safe and Senior Safe Grant. EPA requested by the mayor and Chief Toto. Motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Drew, seconded by Councilor Santos. Discussion. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's an EPA requested because we have some concerns about putting the money to work in time for the specific deadline, I think this summer. So the goal is to try to get this taken care of tonight. Thank you.
Thanks for letting us know. So I need the motion. I mean,
We did, we're on discussion.
we're in discussion, sorry. Any discussion on this? None? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, Madam Clerk. What time is it? Yep,
Oh, I'm sorry, madam. It's 9:42.
thank you. So on the EPA, motion to have an
So moved.
EPA?
Motion
Counselor
to add
Drew?
an EPA.
Thank you, Counselor Marsan. Seconded by Counselor Drew. Just no discussion on the EPA, I'm assuming. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Unanimous.
Thank you. Ordinances. This is you, Counselor. I'm going to you. TO 2614, an ordinance adding Chapter 9, Section 9-92D, self-service gas stations to the municipal code of the City of Methuen, requested by Counselor Ryan DeZoglio and the Chief Scott McNamara. He is requesting an EPA. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Drew, seconded by Counselor Valley. Discussion. Counselor.
So I was approached by actually Linda Silsey to talk about this, and I brought Chief McNamara on board, and we actually had this on our agenda for public safety until the incident occurred on Pleasant Valley Street. I think it was last Saturday or 2 weeks ago from Saturday. I was actually behind the motorcycle that crashed in front of actually my student's aunt's house. So this is why it's a little bit personal for me right now, because they were there in the front yard before the guy decided to do a wheelie and basically hit his, I think, his uncle's car and flipped and went into someone's yard. That, to me, these bikes have been havocing our city and the state for the last probably year or two and longer that I can remember. So before I say my other regards, I really would like Chief McNamara to come up here explain the ordinance, and then we could discuss it.
Good evening again, Council. So this latest potential ordinance was championed by Councilor DeZoglio. The City of Lawrence recently passed a similar ordinance, the one about the gasoline and limiting gasoline for the off-road vehicles, off-highway vehicles, as they're called. So we obviously have a major problem, but it's not limited to the City of Methuen. It's not limited to the Merrimack Valley. It's frankly a nationwide problem with these aggressive drivers. And it's a difficult thing for local law enforcement to deal with, but the way we deal with it is by working with our partners in local and state government. We have participated in a number of operations with the state police and their air wing and the City of Lawrence, Lowell, Dracut, North Andover, and others. And because these groups, as we all know, they meet at a certain location and they just make their way around the Merrimack Valley and beyond and cause chaos. It's difficult because most departments, including our own, have restrictive pursuit policies. And we have restrictive pursuit policies because the most important thing in the world to us is not endangering the motoring public. So we're limited to when we pursue and when we don't. And in the City of Methuen, we only pursue vehicles when there's a violent crime involving the use of force or the use or possession of a firearm in an unlawful manner. Those are the two triggers for us to begin a pursuit. And if we begin a pursuit, then we manage the pursuit, managing a number of other variables like traffic congestion, time of day, speed, those sort of things. So these are difficult things to do, and I think that the way out is continuing to work with our partners, but also the mayor and I are very much interested in technology that can help pave the way. As you know, over the last several years, we've been expanding Mayor Beauregard's public camera system. Every month when we go over our data, we look at how technology helps us, and time again, we're finding the public cameras are often the only lead that we have that allows us to close a crime. We're about to implement our license plate reader program, which we think is going to be instrumental in helping solve some of these issues. And finally, we're looking at a drone program. And I think we would already probably have that technology here in the city, if not for a federal regulation that limited the use of the current technology that's available. Now we're looking for a comparable American-made model. We think that drone technology is kind of like the way of the future in policing, and the drones that are out there now are capable of locking on a target and following. And they could, unlike in the past where you'd have a police officer in the field with the joystick and the video screen kind of monitoring and having a line of sight requirement. Now we can launch drones here in Methuen, but across the country. Drones are allowed to be launched from behind a computer. That's safe, that you implement radar systems and what have you. So I think that's going to make a big difference when we get that technology here in the city. We're in close contact with a number of vendors, hoping that we're one of the first to implement it, because we think it'll make a meaningful difference. But back to your ordinance, Councilor, I know I got off on a little bit of a tangent there. I think the idea is to go back to the drawing board a little and see how we can bulk it up. I know that there's been some kind of pushback in terms of it seems like a lot of pressure to kind of put on the gas station owners themselves. So if we're going to do that, maybe we should do some things in addition to that. So there's a couple of cities and towns out there that have instituted their own local ordinances that allow for significant fines for those people that are captured driving in an aggressive manner with these vehicles. So we'd be looking at significant fines and hopefully seizure of the vehicle itself until the fine is paid. I think that would be a wonderful first step in terms of mitigating the situation that we're experiencing.
Councilor Santos.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I feel the public safety should be our priority. It should remain to be our priority. And instead of putting, like you said, the responsibility into our gas stations and their employees, we should take stronger measures in this matter. So I don't agree with the resolution that Council Savio. Thank you. And I appreciate what you are doing, but I think that it needs to be more strict. We should start pounding those motorcycles and finding the people that are operating them without insurance, helmet, or being registered. So I just feel that this needs to be reworked and reward to the safety of our city.
Yeah, I agree with all those points, and I want to say again, just reiterate that that's how we kind of attack it with technology. The idea is, whether we're using a drone or we're using the state police helicopter, their air wing, the idea is they're followed until the point where they stop somewhere, because eventually they stop, right? And then they could be stopping finally to garage the vehicle at their home. And the idea is once they're safely stopped, that's when police would kind of zero in on them and then take them in custody in the safest manner possible. So I agree. We need to continue to do all we can in terms of our enforcement efforts.
Councilor Samard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say it's a noble gesture, Councilor DeZoglio, but this is going to have no impact on these criminals that have been plaguing many cities like Lawrence, Lowell, Methuen, Springfield, Brockton. I think we need, like Councilor Santos said, stricter laws, and I think maybe we should table this so we can add some more bite to this. But the bigger problem is our courts. They're not holding these criminals accountable. And I'll give you an example. The gentleman who had the gun that you saw wipe out and had the gun was charged with, on May 10th, possession of a large capacity feeding device, possession of a firearm without an FID card, possession of ammunition without an FID card, possession of a machine gun, reckless operation of a motor vehicle, unregistered motor vehicle, speeding that was greater than reasonable. He was injured, so the city had to pay our officers $1,770 to watch him at the hospital for 2 days until he was arraigned. Because it was very serious, right? Very important to us. Guess what happened at his arraignment?
He got dismissed?
He walked out of court with no bail and conditions to not do it again. So you think that, holding our gas station attendants accountable, you want that kid who's pumping gas at 17 years old to tell a guy in an ATV that might have a gun on him, you can't get gas here. So there's nothing more frustrating as a police officer to be sitting in traffic and your marked cruiser and a bunch of rogue motorcyclists come up, and it's a mob mentality, and they're doing wheelies next to you because they know you can't do anything. So I love the drone thing because the only way to be effective is to figure out where they're going when they finally come to a resting spot. And that's really the only way to combat this. So that's what I think we need to do. And the fact that this garnered attention in the media, I think made it worse yesterday for our police officers because I spoke to a few officers and yesterday was bedlam with the motorcycle. So it probably prompted them to say, here we are, Methuen, we're going to keep coming back. So I think we need to get stricter. We need to have, the same ordinances that Lawrence has, Brockton has. I know the chief spoke about Brockton and Springfield. I think we need to give our officers more tools to do the job. So I hope we can put this to rest for now, maybe table it and come up with better ways to help our police department and our citizens. So thank you.
Okay. Anybody? Councilor Valle.
Point of information, Madam Chair. This ordinance was amended, and it doesn't reflect the amendment here.
What was the amendment?
And that was on section 9-92D, self-service gas stations. Section B, the last line, signage shall be provided by the police department with a copy of the ordinance.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. If does anybody else have anything to say? I'd like to point out also, Mr. Mayor, we have an ordinance already pre-existing that we can impound these vehicles. Why is it that we're not doing that?
So we most certainly impound vehicles when they're found in violation of the law. So if they're unregistered, if they're uninsured.
Yeah, aren't they unregistered? These bikes. So why, we already have that in the books. Why aren't we turning on our lights, pulling them over, and taking the vehicle? Is it because they speed off?
Because they don't stop. Is the
Okay.
issue. If we do, well, if we get someone successfully stopped and we find them in violation of law, and then that could be a normal motor vehicle, an off-road, they call these off-highway vehicles, but certain types of vehicles are allowed to be properly registered and actually drive on the street. If they're in violation, whether they're unregistered or uninsured, they absolutely get towed. But I do want to look at looking at an ordinance that would allow us to seize the vehicle until which time that the fine is paid. Because often when we take a vehicle, when we impound a vehicle, as you're saying, we're simply towing it to a local tow yard, and they'll come to the tow yard. They'll pay the applicable fee, and they'll take possession of the vehicle again. Now, if it's unregistered or uninsured, they're required to then get it towed from the tow company to a private property, because they can't drive it on public property to get to where they live. But I like the idea of seizing the vehicle itself until a fine is paid, and I think we have to look at whether or not that's lawful to do. I suspect that it is, but I would defer to the city solicitor after we can get a couple of examples of other ordinances that are effective in other cities and towns in the Commonwealth.
But meanwhile, with this ordinance on the table, they can get gas at our gas stations right now.
Yes, they can.
No. Okay. All right. Are there any further questions, or Counselor?
So I'm going to be brief about this. I was brought to this attention to do it because, again, the law is, as Councilor Samad is a police officer, so I take his expertise very seriously. This is in the scope that I can do as a counselor. And because, let's be real, with the police reform that has happened in the last few years, that it has strained our police officers to do their jobs. And we talk about the legislator, the legislation in Massachusetts has been against letting our police officers do their jobs. I've talked to many officers that say they are afraid to pursue them because if something was to happen, they're going to get blamed for it instead of the criminal. And they just passed, and the chief can also agree with me on this, they used to be on these little petty crimes like shoplifting and all that, you would get a bail for $40. But because they were worried about the person being poor, they got rid of that, because it shouldn't be for someone shoplifting for 40, it should be in jail for 3 days. Well, hate to break it to you, if you didn't break the law, you wouldn't be in jail in the first place. But again, the state thought we should be catering to criminals. And as you just heard from Councilor Samad, the guy had a list of charges that he should have been behind bars, and they let him out saying, don't do it again. As the same as the Cambridge shooter that just got let out after 5 years of being in jail for what? Shooting at police. And he got an illegal firearm, and he started shooting at people. And that's why they passed this gun reform for people like me that is a license, that they have restrained us for getting firearms, but these criminals continue to get guns. And I've said it and I would continue to say it. Gun laws does not stop criminals from getting guns. That's just a fact, and it's happened in many states. So I would love to hear, and I bet that, so that's why this ordinance is a starting step, because that I can only do in the scope as a counselor. So.
Counselor McLaren.
I agree with you that in this specific instance, it's important that we be harder on these people, that we don't let this happen. Obviously, it's an enormous public safety risk, and that is our top priority. I just have to agree with Councilor Samar that this places an unfair burden on the employees at gas stations who didn't sign up to be police officers. They didn't sign up for the responsibility of walking up to people who, like Councilor Samard said, may or may not be armed, may or may not be angry. and tell them that they cannot fuel up their vehicle there. I mean, I can imagine if I was a gas station attendant, I would feel very nervous about doing something like that potentially puts you in an unsafe position. And while I completely respect that you took this initiative, and I think that there are things that we should be doing that we're not presently, and I'm very grateful to the chief for being receptive to that. I don't think that this is the answer. I just think that we need to be harder on these individuals, but I don't want to place that burden on the backs of your average gas station employee whose responsibility it certainly is not.
I mean, anybody else first that hasn't spoken? No?
Just a quick point of clarification. So I'm glad that you touched more on what I said about the justice system. We need a reform, so we need to talk to our state reps, our U.S. reps, and our senators to change the laws. And that's what we need to do. So if we don't do that, then nothing's going to happen. Just for the record, too, I spoke to a superior officer today in our neighboring city. That ordinance has been in effect for, I believe, 6 years. No one's ever been cited.
Madam Chair, I have a question to Councilor Simard. That reform that you propose, can that be done by the City Council, like through a letter to the delegation?
I would think so. I know we all have friends that are at the state level, and I think we push for that because it is out of hand, and I think that's a good start.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Santos.
In the meantime, I feel that we need to do something about our seating. Yes, definitely we should reach out to the delegation so that it comes from the state. But in the meantime, the summer is coming, and this is the time that they are more out there and more accidents are going to occur. So we need to implement something fast so our city can be protected.
One more caveat. There's 2 state reps right now that are trying to pass a bill through the State House to change the juvenile age from 18 to 21. So think about that for a second. You can go to war at 18 and carry a rifle, but you're not held accountable if you're 19, 20 years old, if you do something stupid. How many times are these victims going to be victimized because of the lenient court? So I hope we can do something about it.
A comment to that, I'm coming to you, Councilor Drew. What happened particular in Methuen, I asked what the age group was, and it was 22 and 27-year-olds. Just so even older, I believe they were all men, not that I'm, but older guys are on these bikes. Councilor Drew.
I'm just going to stop what everybody said earlier about the grandstanding, so I'm going to motion to table this.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Drew, seconded by Councilor Simard. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, Madam Clerk. And that calls it for this evening. I have any other business for the good and welfare of this community? Seeing none, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilor Valley, seconded by Councilor Drew. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for your time this evening. Good evening.